Coming up on Marlborough this week, a torched treehouse. Why police are now looking for a couple of juveniles.
Mayor Nancy Stevens speaks out on this week's search for Marlborough's superintendent. And
it's that time of year again, time for the annual Adopt a Space program. All that and more coming up.
Good evening and welcome to Marlborough This Week. I'm Deirdre Andiorio.
And I'm Keegan Feeney. Our top story this evening. Fire torched a Marlborough clubhouse earlier this week, leaving behind a pile of scorched wreckage. The Marlborough Fire Department responded to an emergency call Sunday morning at 1 Gates Avenue. It took 2 engines and a ladder truck to control the flames.
The residents were home. We had a report that there were kids playing in the fort previous to the fire. At this point, the fire has been determined to have been set by a juvenile, and we're pursuing that matter.
Nobody was hurt in the fire. The tree house, which was built from the ground up into the tree, was completely destroyed in the blaze. There is no estimate on damage at this point. We'll continue to follow this developing story and bring you more next week.
A wild police chase ended in a crash earlier this week. Police from neighboring towns chased a vehicle into Marlborough on Monday. 3 teenagers stole the vehicle earlier that morning and were reportedly driving erratically. Police spotted the vehicle on Route 20 being driven erratically and motioned the driver to pull over. Police say the 15-year-old driver attempted to get away, but crashed only 2 miles down the road outside of a restaurant on Lakeside Avenue. The driver and one of his 14-year-old passengers were arrested shortly after. A 3rd passenger ran into the woods and was not caught. Both teens are being charged with receiving stolen property. They were released on bail later on Monday. Nobody was hurt.
Another Marlborough man wasn't so lucky. 21-year-old Michael McNanny was sent to the Marlborough Hospital after crashing his car Monday evening. Police say McNanny had been drinking when he lost control of his vehicle and drove into the woods along Parmenter Road. He will be charged in court and arraigned at a later date.
A local nightclub is in trouble with the law this week. The Speakers nightclub received a warning on Wednesday after police say they pulled over drivers who claimed to have been driving at their bar shortly before closing. Among the drivers that were pulled over was a 19-year-old male who reportedly used his underage passport to get into that bar. The club's owner says they do not serve anyone under 21. If the nightclub receives another violation in the next 2 years, it could face a 3-day suspension.
A New England tire retailer is moving into Marlborough. Town Fair Tire Center has proposed opening a store at the Boston Post Road East property. The location used to house the Marlborough 123 Cinema, but the store would like to use the 70,600 square foot building to sell tires, custom wheels, and provide services like installation and balancing. Councilor Ed Clancy spoke out at last week's City Council meeting with concerns.
Our concern was noise. Town Fair Tire obviously uses air tools. Air tools make nice noises. You know, everybody's aware of it. And air tools will be very irritating if you have 6 bays with people changing tires in all 6 bays. Also, you're going to have lifts in there, up and down, you know, psh, psh, psh. And there's a concern for noise there.
A store representative says the noise won't be louder from traffic on Route 20.
The search for a new superintendent is on. Rose Marie Boniface is retiring as Marlborough's superintendent in October. Mayor Nancy Stevens named a 13-member committee last week that will oversee the search.
Superintendent search is going very well. At the committee meeting, the school committee meeting, the last meeting, I did name the members of the search committee. City Councilor Ed Clancy, who is a former administrator at the high school for 30 years in the district, is chairing the committee. I have 3 school committee members on the committee: Katie Roby, Michelle Bowden-Hedinger, and Joe Delano. Frank Hess, a former administrator in the city of Marlborough, a former principal, is also on the committee. I have a parent, Kathy Fagan, who does cultural arts for the PTOs for the intermediate elementary school, and the Jarrick School, Penny Kahn, who is the president of the Marlborough Education Foundation and a parent, Mary Carlson, the high school principal, Linda Karpachiak, she's a parent and an educator in another district. Claude Tsai, he's a parent, a school council member, and a small business owner here in Marlborough. Richard Toll, he's a city councilor, retired English teacher and head of the English department in Newton. Susan Karb, who is the president of the Marlborough Education Association, the Teachers Association, and Catherine Hennessy, who is a small business owner and a parent here in Marlborough. In addition, we have a timeline set up for the search. Initially, we are right on schedule with the timeline, and we will be doing focus groups the week of, I believe it's going to be the week of February 27th. These focus groups will encompass various groups. There will be parent focus groups, there will be educator focus groups, business leader focus groups, and they will, the MASC, which is the consulting firm, Mass Association of School Committees is the consulting firm who has been chosen by the school committee. They will be coming out conducting focus groups with various members of the community in order to see what it is we're looking for in a superintendent. We will then put together brochures, put the ad together. The ads will go out. The way it stands now is we're hoping to have a superintendent named the week of June 26th would be when this whole process should be complete. Our current superintendent, Rosemary Boniface, is not retiring until October, so this will provide some time for our candidate who is chosen to leave the district if they are currently in a district and have some transition time with our superintendent. I anticipate this is going to be a very quick process in terms of, although it sounds like June 26th is long, it will be a process that will be moving along quickly in terms of going from the next step. So I'm very excited about the fact that we've gotten started. The committee's named. I think it's an excellent committee that really shows, really has everyone from various groups in the city, small business owners, leaders, parents, administrators. I'm very pleased with the makeup of the committee, and I think it really reflects the makeup of the community. So I'm very happy. I have no doubt that we will have a superintendent in place when our current superintendent retires.
The school committee announced last week that they have picked a consulting firm to help with that search. They'll be holding open focus groups in the coming weeks. We'll be sure to tell you the dates of these meetings as soon as they are decided.
And college can be expensive, and for many of us, the only way it can be affordable is through scholarships. That's why the City of Marlborough is giving 4 lucky students $1,000. Students at Marlborough High School, Marian High in Framingham, St. John's in Shrewsbury, Hudson Catholic, and Assabet Valley Vocational High School are encouraged to apply. Applications are available at the high schools, in the city clerk's office, the city council, and the mayor's office, and at the Marlborough Public Library. They are due by April 19th. Winners will receive their awards in June. And another set of scholarships are in the works. Nearly 100 people met at the Masonic Hall on Sunday to raise money. They played cards hoping to raise $10,000 in scholarship money. The scholarships would benefit Assabet Vocational Regional Technical High School, Marlborough High School, and American Youth Football.
A Marlborough 5th grader has earned her school a different kind of scholarship. We brought you the story last week, but thought it was important enough to share with you again, just in case you missed it last weekend. WMCT's Leslie Kanata has more.
Kaylee Paravicini is no ordinary student. This 5th grader has drawn national attention through an essay she wrote.
The goal of this program is to encourage more parents to be involved with their children's education and encourage more students to talk with their parents about what is happening at school and to ask for help with their studies.
Kaylee's essay was one of more than 2,500, but it didn't go unnoticed. She was chosen as one of 10 grand prize winners.
Well, we got a phone call one night. I was already in bed, so my mom woke me up and said, "You gotta come hear this." And so we heard her say, I'm a grand prize winner, but we weren't quite sure yet if we were one of the 50 finalists or one of the 10 grand prize winners. And so the next day in City Kids, I told Romel, and she called the Box Stops for Education and asked them if I was either grand prize winner or finalist, and we found out that I was one of the grand prize winners.
Well, 50 kids entered the contest, and although I have some very prolific writers, I didn't know if I would end up with a winner, but in fact we did.
Besides the recognition Kaylee has received from her essay, her school is also receiving $1,000 to implement her parental involvement plan.
We'd like to take the money and fully implement to the maximum possible ability Kaylee's plan.
Kaylee calls her plan the PI Pledge. It asks that parents spend at least 15 minutes each day helping their child with schoolwork. Students would sign a similar pledge and keep track of their progress with charts. For WMCT, I'm Leslie Canada.
Kristen Bradley from the Metro West Daily News visited our studio this morning for a closer look. Leslie spoke with her. Take a look.
We just saw that piece about Kaylee. Now Kristen Bradley from the Metro West Daily News is here to talk more in depth about what she won. Can you tell us a little about the...
Sure. Kaylee is a 10-year-old in the 5th grade at the intermediate school, and as I'm sure it was in your package, and she entered an essay contest sponsored by Box Top for Education, which is a division of General Mills. And the question was, if you could be principal for the day, how would you increase parental involvement in the school?
And what did she say she would do?
She said, and they had to write a 500 or less word or less entry. And what she decided to do was she decided that the parents and the students should enter into a contract together, and it would actually be a physical, written contract that they would sign. And I think she initialed it the PI contract, and it could stand for either parental involvement or public involvement. And they would sign that they would spend time each day talking about a school-related topic, even if it was just, how was your day, what happened at school. And so part of her idea was that they would issue a monthly calendar, and on one side would be helpful tips to stay involved in your kids' school life, and on the other side would be an actual calendar. And every day that the student and parent spent 15 minutes talking about a school-related topic, they would circle that day, and at the end of the month, everybody would hand in their calendar to the principal at the school, and if all the days were circled, then you would be entered into a monthly raffle. And I remember she said to me that she really thought that some of the students in her class don't spend a lot of time talking about school with their parents, and they need help with their homework, and they need help talking about ideas or just what happened during their day. And she really thought it was important to increase that, being that her parents are very involved in her education.
Now, I spoke with Sue Pecor, the principal, and she was saying that they received $1,000 to actually implement the plan.
Right.
And obviously she feels that that's very important, that parents do get involved.
Actually, Principal Pecor found the essay contest, which is weird because Ramel Baker Jarvis, who runs the City Kids program, which Kaylee is in, which is for academically and advanced and talented students, and that program has been around for over 20 years with Ramel there. She's usually the first to find the contest, but Sue Pecor actually found this contest, and she mentioned it to Ramel, and all 27 kids in the class entered the contest and wrote the essay. Ramel told me that it was very near and dear to her heart because Ramel runs so many different programs in her classroom that she requires on parents. I wouldn't quote my story directly, but everything I think she said, from stuffing envelopes to cleaning off tables, she really counts on parents. So when she read the essay, she thought, wow, what a great idea. And so her and Sue Pecor talked about it, and they want to implement it. The grant money from General Mills can go towards one of two things. It can go toward an existing program, or it can go toward a new program that you want to implement. So their thoughts are, let's go ahead and implement it.
So when do you think the plan's going to kick off?
They're not exactly quite sure. I know that the official grant money I don't believe is in yet. I think it comes in the first week in March. So I think once they have the grant money in hand, then they probably would go from there.
Now, was this the first year that Ramel had her students write an essay?
For Box Top for Education. I believe this is the first time they entered this contest. Ramel always has her students entering different contests. In this one, which I'm sure was in your package, but just quickly for maybe someone who missed it, the 27 children in her class entered, and then there was, they picked a winner from all 50 states, and then they included the District of Columbia and Puerto Rico in there. And so they had an average of about 50 winners, and then from there they picked 10 finalists. and Kaylee was one of them. And that will bring her to Capitol Hill, to Washington, D.C. on April 5th for a Kids Caucus on education.
Where she will get to read her essay.
Yes.
To politicians.
Yep, she'll get to read her essay, talk to the other kids about what their ideas were, and she just told me that she was really, really excited to go there and try to get some feedback. And I'm always amazed when I talk to any of the kids in the City Kids program, because you almost feel like you're talking to a mini adult.
Yeah, I felt the same way when I was talking to her.
Absolutely.
Very smart.
They're so advanced, and everything that they say is just kind of blows your mind that you're talking to someone who's 10 years old. But I didn't get to read her essay in full, but I know that it must have definitely raised some flags, because it's taken her all the way to Capitol Hill. So
That's great. I'd like to congratulate Kaylee.
That was Kristen Bradley from the Metro West Daily News and WMCT's Leslie Canada. Thank you both. When we return, Judd Bornheimer will have a look at sports.
And looks like we may see some snow this weekend. How much can we expect? We'll tell you. All that and more when we come back after this break.
Good evening, Marlborough. I'm Judd Bornheimer, and welcome back for another edition of Sports Spotlight. This week, we're taking a break from the ordinary. Marlborough High is at the end of their spring break, which means two things. The first being that the winter season in sports are coming to a close, and the spring season is right around the corner. With that said, today's Spotlight will focus on wrapping up the winter season with a roundup of some of the accomplishments and successes of Marlborough High's best and brightest. The team that has been making the most noise all season long has been the boys basketball team. We introduced you to this talented group of Panthers in our first Spotlight, but since then they have continued their winning ways. After beating their biggest rival Hudson 54-52 on Tuesday, Coach Nicholas and his team lost a close one to Leominster in the final seconds, 72-71. The boys' record now stands at 15-5, and with one game remaining, it looks like all signs point towards a long run in the playoffs. Well, 2 weeks ago we mentioned to the viewers that the playoff hopes of the Marlborough boys hockey team were slim, if not completely lost. What a difference 2 weeks make. After losing back-to-back games to Leominster and Westboro, the Panthers needed to win 4 out of their last 5 games in order to qualify for the playoffs and get a chance of defending their state title from last year. Well, after defeating Bourne last night, they have done just what they needed to do. With the win over Bourne was their 4th in 5 games and qualified them as the last seed in the Division III tournament. Although they are a long shot to win the tournament, anything is possible, and if anyone can use that saying, it's this team. All right, switching gears now. One of the top individual athletes at MHS. We introduce you to a junior that a lot of people have been talking about around the state. Christina Konyucki has been running wild this season. She has been dominating her opponents in both the 1,000-meter and 4x400 relay. She took her talents to the Division II state meet this past weekend and tried to grab that state championship that she has yet to add to her long list of accomplishments. Although Christina did not win her 2 events, she did come close. In the 1,000 meters, she came in 2nd place, less than 1 second behind Lindsay Booth of Franklin. In the 4x400 relay, Christina, her younger sister Brianna, Kelsey Sy, and Laura Papiella all ran well. However, it was not enough to pull out a victory, and the group finished 5th. One other athlete that did well for the Lady Panthers was a possible rising star. 8th grader Kathy Winters placed 5th in the 2-mile event. This was her first state meet, and all things considered, she did pretty good. Well, Christina, Kathy, and the other members of the 4x400 meter relay are not done with their winter track. In fact, they have one more state meet to compete in. They will be competing at the all-state meet this week and try to bring home that always elusive state championship. Staying with the individual theme, we here at Sports Spotlight want to congratulate Danielle Jenkins for passing a historic milestone. All year, Jenkins has been chasing the 1,000-meter career point plateau, and in the last game of the year, she succeeded in her quest. Wednesday night, Jenkins scored 24 points, giving her 1,017 for her career. It was a night that all were looking forward to since the beginning of the season. Jenkins also filled the stat sheet in other areas, as she usually does, pulling in 22 rebounds to go with her milestone-breaking point total. As for the Lady Panthers, they finished 9-11 on the season, unfortunately missing the playoffs, making the game against Worcester North their last and capping off a great career by Danielle and her fellow seniors.
Congratulations on the season and getting 1,000 points. How do you feel right now?
I'm very excited. It's a little hard, but thanks to my team, I got it. Coming off a sprained ankle, I think I did all right. Could have did a little better, but with the team, we did well.
Without a doubt, this has been one very successful winter season for the Panthers, and it's not over. As we said, the boys basketball, boys hockey, and girls track team all have postseason events and games still to play. So the book is yet to close on the winter teams of 05-06. As always, we wish all the teams and players luck in their postseason battles and look forward to the spring season and the victories and successes it will bring. One last reminder for all you New England sports fans out there. Although it may be impossible not to know, the Red Sox have started their spring training in Fort Myers, Florida. The team has a much different look this year with an entirely new infield and the much talked about acquisitions of Josh Beckett and Coco Crisp. The season opens April 3rd in Arlington, Texas, with the Sox playing the Rangers in a 3-game series. The home opener is April 11th versus Toronto, and the first edition of the ongoing saga between the Red Sox and Yankees will be played May 1st at Fenway Park. That's all the time we have this week. We will have all the updates and highlights from this week's playoff games right here next week. As always, we encourage all our viewers to go out and cheer on your Panthers. See you right back here next week for another edition of Sports Spotlight.
Remember when we brought you the news last century?
Here's what's going on in your city today, Monday, June 17th, 1996. Topping off our news for tonight, the Marlborough City Councilors voted down.
And that's just going to wrap it up for all of us here at News 30. So as always, thanks for watching. Have a great night.
Is a wonderful program for adolescents between the ages of 11 and 15 years old.
News 30 was then. Marlborough This Week is now. Back by popular demand, tune in to WMCT Channel 10 as we bring you the latest in local news.
Welcome back to Marlborough This Week. Some big news for a Marlborough drug developer. Evergreen Solar has received a contract worth up to $100 million to supply solar panels to a German firm that builds power plants. The local company makes solar power products. The contract will supply the Germans' SAG Solar Storm for the next 4 years.
Spring is just around the corner, and that means it's time for some spring cleaning. Those of you with a green thumb can help Marlborough clean up this year. The 8th annual Adopt a Space program is asking for volunteers to care for small plots of land owned by the city. Volunteers will be responsible for taking care of their land for 1 full year. City Council President Arthur Vigent says the program provides much needed relief for the Department of Public Works.
We know how tight the budgets have been, and the DPW's no different when it comes to that. There's some of these areas that really don't get enough attention because they are so busy down there. So it gives them a little bit of relief from some spaces that may not have been taken care of. It makes them a lot nicer than just throwing down and picking up the trees or broken limbs. You know, you put some flowers in there, and it gives the individuals some pride in what they did and driving by there every day. We try to encourage people to adopt a space near where they work or live so they see it every day.
If you would like to volunteer, call Karen Boole in the City Council office at 508-460-3711.
Well, last weekend's snowstorm brought more than cold weather, and we're not talking about snow. High winds blew across the steeple of Martha Mary Chapel, breaking one of the iron weather vanes. It dangled from the church steeple for hours. Employees feared that the wedding parties planned for the day would have to avoid using the front entrance. But by 2 p.m. on Saturday, a crane was able to remove the dangling weather vane. The weather vane may cost thousands to replace.
St. Mary's Church may not be vacant much longer. The Boston Archdiocese is tentatively agreeing to sell the Broad Street property to Alt Redevelopment. The developer plans to turn the church, school, and rectory into condominiums. The company specializes in restoring historic properties. Plans include maintaining the church's vaulted ceilings and stained glass windows. The 100-year-old church has been vacant for more than a year and a half. If the deal goes through, it could remain empty for at least another year as developers get building permits.
Marlborough residents are seeking a drop in gas prices for the second time this year. According to AAA, the average price for gasoline dropped 8 cents this past week to $2.20. The average price for regular self-serve gasoline has dropped 16 cents over the past 3 weeks. At this time last year, gas was averaging at about $1.88.
In an effort to control the mosquito population, pesticides will be sprayed around Marlborough homes later this spring. If you would like to keep your home pesticide-free, you will need to send a letter for exclusion to the city clerk with your name, address, telephone number by April 1st.
Marlborough City Assessor may be knocking on your door and adjusting your tax rate. The city is touring homes and businesses to update property values. Since taxes are based on property value, these inspections could change the amount of money you'll owe the state next year. The assessor will be looking for property improvements and construction. Assessors will be going door to door, so property owners will not have advance notice of the visit. The city says all assessors will carry identification.
Sure, we'd all like to win the lottery, but your chances of winning big are, well, slim. If you want to win something, you have a much better chance in Marlborough's March Madness raffle. The Citizens Scholarship Foundation is giving away 31 prizes. The March calendar costs $5 and names are drawn daily. For more information, call Deb Giroux at 508-481-0056.
Well, also going on next week is the 17th annual Mr. MHS pageant. You heard right, we said Mr. The American Field Service Club of Marlborough High School is hosting a spoof on the Miss America pageant with guys. The males will compete in categories like school clothes, best legs, talent, formal wear, and an interview segment. The pageant is going to be held next Friday at the Marlborough Middle School Auditorium.
Every week, we'd like to share with you a little piece of Marlborough's history in a segment called 100 Years Ago This Week. On February 23, 1906, Marlborough's Unitarian Ladies Society held their annual party at Preston Hall. The party consisted of orchestra music and dancing that lasted after midnight. There were also separate rooms for entertainment and card games. Also during this week 100 years ago, Marlborough was experiencing some unusually warm weather. In fact, it was so warm that the Lake Williams Ice Company was unable to work. They were only able to get in about half a crop.
Well, it doesn't look like we'll be having any troubles like that. This week is shaping up to be a cold one, that's for sure. Tonight will be cold and windy. We'll see a low of 13 degrees with chance of snow showers. We'll likely see even more snow Saturday night. Accumulations could total 1 to 3 inches. Sunday we'll see a break from the snow with sunny skies, but there's no escaping cold Sunday temperatures that might dip to 5 degrees. Monday we may see a few more snow showers with highs in the 20s. Tuesday and Wednesday will also bring highs in the 20s, but Thursday and Friday could warm up just enough to see 40 degrees. And that's all for this edition of Marlborough This Week. Thanks for joining us. I'm Deirdre Andiorio. Have a great night.
And I'm Keegan Feeney. Have a great weekend.
Coming up on Marlborough this week, the city of Marlborough is looking for a new superintendent. How you can help.
It's not ice fishing you're looking at, but you're close. We'll tell you what the Marlborough Fire Department pulled from the water.
The Marlborough boys varsity basketball team is in the playoffs. We have highlights. All that and more coming up.
Good evening and welcome to Marlborough This Week. I'm Dan Gindin.
And I'm Angelique Piccolo. Our top stories this weekend. Well, the search for a new superintendent is on, and the school committee wants your help. The committee held focus groups throughout this week and will have additional group meetings on March 6th, 7th, 9th, and 10th.
The purpose of the focus group is to get the community involved in determining what type of superintendent we want. What are the qualities, the qualifications, and the abilities or previous experience. What's important to the community in a superintendent? They're asking a lot of different questions. Some of these, we have some questions from the focus group discussions, and it says, if you could select some of the most important guiding principles that would establish values for the Marlborough Public Schools, what would they be? What are the strengths of the Marlborough Public Schools, and what areas for improvement would you like to see as the focus of attention for the school committee and superintendent? I think it's just guiding us in terms of making sure that when we select a superintendent, it's not just a superintendent for the schools or the school committee, but the superintendent is a core position in the city. So we want to make sure that we get everyone involved in making that decision.
The focus groups are open to the public. People are welcome to ask questions, suggest qualifications, and even discuss salary levels. Marlborough's current superintendent, Rosemary Boniface, will retire in October after working more than 30 years in education.
For the second year in a row, Marlborough school enrollment numbers are down. Superintendent Rosemary Boniface released the official numbers at Tuesday night's school committee meeting. She says the enrollment numbers are right along with what they projected. There are about 200 fewer students enrolled in the Marlborough public school system this year. That's a 2.6% decrease. Committee members say this decline could be because more students are attending the Advanced Math and Science Academy charter school.
Well, for years, the city of Marlborough and many of its big businesses have been purchasing electricity at lower rates. Now, an ordinance is in the works to give the residents of Marlborough the same discounts. The plan is called municipal aggregation. It will pool residential and business electricity customers and offer their business to the lower bidder. Mayor Nancy Stevens has signed Brian Murphy as a consultant to the plan.
It's a very positive thing for the city in terms of coming together as a group. We have, as a city, have been able to purchase electricity through an aggregation. The whole city is billed together. And what this allows is for the buying capacity of the business and residential community to be able to buy in bulk. Just like you go to BJ's or Sam's Club, you buy in bulk, you get cheaper. Well, that's what we're trying to do is develop a plan that gives the residents an opportunity to enjoy those discounts that we as a city have enjoyed because of our collective buying power as a city.
Cape Cod and Martha's Vineyard already have arrangements like the one Marlborough is proposing. The City Council has not yet set a date to vote on this proposal.
If you live on Fay Court, you know that parking can be a problem, but it may not be that way for long. The Marlborough Community Development Corporation is seeking a permit to demolish 2 rundown homes on the court and build a 3-story building in its place. As it stands right now, there should be 14 parking spots, but there are only 2. Residents have been parking across the street in the St. Mary's Church parking lot, but they won't be able to continue doing so for long since the church property may be developed soon. The new proposal calls for 16 spaces. The City Council's Urban Affairs Subcommittee will discuss the proposal at Tuesday night's meeting.
St. Mary's Church on Broad Street may soon be undergoing major changes. A developer says he has struck a tentative deal to convert the holy place into condominiums. Alt Redevelopment says it would like to preserve the vaulted ceilings and stained glass windows. At this point, nothing has been submitted to the city for approval, but latest drafts are considering turning the property into 42-bedroom condos.
Marlborough's planning board members are still hoping that the city will one day be able to purchase 14 acres of land also known as Marlborough Farm. The City Council voted last March not to purchase the property because it simply didn't have the money. Now the Planning Board is looking for legal help. They want to know if there is a chance the city will be able to buy the land in the future. Mayor Nancy Stevens says the city is not in a better financial situation than it was last year. There still is no money. Stevens says that after the city gave up its right to purchase the land, it doesn't have the right to tell the current owners who they will be selling it to.
Some Marlborough real estate agents are upset after Monday night's City Council meeting. They asked councilors to allow them to post signs on various properties that would direct potential customers towards hard-to-find locations. Councilors shot down their request, saying it is unfair to change the rules for one entity.
We don't allow portable signs for businesses out in front of their own businesses. We don't allow portable signs in front of hotels. We don't allow portable signs advertising things at schools. I think at this point, unless we're going to overhaul the entire sign ordinance to make this adjustment for realtors, who are really a significant part of the problem, is really truly unfair to the businesses that are trying to attract business to their establishment.
Councilors say signs placed somewhere other than property for sale are in violation of the city's signs ordinance.
We're going to take a quick break, but when we return, we'll tell you what the Marlborough Fire Department was doing on the causeway.
And we'll have Judd Bornheimer with sports. Stay tuned. Welcome back to Marlborough This Week.
Wednesday wasn't your typical day at the Marlborough Fire Department. WMCT's Leslie take a look at what she got into.
This ice might look thick, but it's not. You could easily fall through it. That's why the Marlborough Fire Department is practicing ice rescues.
You never know when we're actually going to be called out to rescue somebody, whether it be an ice skater, a snowmobiler, or kids playing on the ice. And this gives us the opportunity to get into some ice cold water, practice getting out of the ice, out of the water onto the ice, and rescuing victims that have gotten into trouble on the ice.
The captain told me it's hard to describe the experience unless you've tried it yourself. So,
the firemen asked me to suit up so they could practice their rescue techniques, you guessed it, on me.
You can walk across and have 6 inches of ice here, go another 10 feet, and because of a spring, you'll have just an inch or two, you'll go right through it. Very dangerous. We don't recommend anybody going on this.
But in case someone does go on the ice, they need to be prepared for a rescue.
So we're gonna go down and then up, but we're gonna do it easy. We can't go too fast. Once I get you up, then we're gonna drag you to safety, and these guys are gonna help me pull you up and off the ice.
I knew there were rescuers to help me, but I still tried to grab onto the ice. However, I couldn't pull myself up. That's why you need to stay off the ice. Once a year, the Marlborough firefighters practice their ice rescues. Luckily, they haven't needed to use this training in any real-life situation. But it certainly doesn't hurt to be prepared. For WMCT, I'm Leslie Canada.
Thanks, Leslie. Fire Captain James Diamond said it to Leslie, but we really should say it again. Don't attempt to go on the ice regardless of what the situation is. It simply isn't worth the risk.
Well, if you tuned into the CBS show Still Standing on Wednesday night, you might have recognized a few people you know. That's because 12-year-old Amber Winsky, along with her brother and parents, all appeared on the show in walk-on roles. The father got his family the parts through his horse racing connections. The Winskys flew to California in January to film the show. Amber filmed her part in 2 days, working more than 10 hours each day. When directors asked her parents if they could play the roles of sports parents, they said it wouldn't be hard since their own children are involved in sports.
That's a great story.
How exciting.
And now we've got our own sports involvement here. We've got Judd Bornheimer here with the sports. Judd, what do you have for us?
Well, Dan, I've got some good news and some bad news. And if you folks are like me, I always want the good news first. In the case of Marlborough sports, that positive news is your boys hockey team. Everybody's Cinderella team continues to win games down the stretch. The latest win for the Panthers was their most important, as it was in the first round of the Division III state tournament. Marlborough squeaked in as the final seed in the tournament, and the outlook was not good when it came to the team advancing, as they were matched up against a tough Assabet Valley team. However, the Panthers proved the rest of the hockey community that the slippers still fit, as they played a hard game and defeated Assabet 4-1. The star of the game, surprisingly, did not come from the goal scorers. Instead, the Panthers' goaltender shined in this early playoff game. Andrew Joyce had 31 saves, 11 of them coming in a fast-paced first period. Now, I know I promised you all good news on the hockey front. However, the win came with a major cost. With about 3 minutes left to play, Marlborough star player, forward, and senior captain Joe Mulvey was ejected for a hit from behind. Now, under MIA rules and regulations, if a player is ejected during a tournament game, that player is automatically suspended for the remainder of the tournament. So, if MHS hopes to win back-to-back state titles, they will have to do it without their leader and top goal scorer. But this team has proved many doubters wrong in the past few weeks and hope to continue their own version of the miracle on ice when they play Northbridge in the quarterfinal round of the tournament. The time and date of the game are yet to be determined. Now, over the past few weeks, the boys basketball team has become MHS's version of the Cardiac Cats, winning close games in the last minute of games almost every game. Unfortunately, their luck ran out on Thursday night as they lost a heartbreaker to Milford in the first round of the Division I Central Massachusetts tournament. The loss was Marlborough's second to Milford in a row. Both games were decided by an amazing 3 points. The Panthers showed a ton of heart as they went down early 11-0 and faced deficits of 15 in the first half and 14 early in the second. However, the team fought hard and crawled their way back into the game going into the final minutes. Chris Pizzanault kept the Panthers close in the first half, scoring 16 points. He added another 5 in the second for a game-high 21. However, he got into foul trouble with 2 charges late in the first half and fouled out of the game with 4 minutes remaining, diving for a loose ball, as you can see right here. After Pizzanault's exit, star center Jamil Nisbet took over. He awoke from a slow first half to score 16 in the second, 2 of them coming right here on this important basket. Now, that basket by Nisbet brought the Panthers within 2 with less than 10 seconds to play. The Panthers then fouled and sent Milford's TJ Dolliver to the line for a pair of free throws. Dolliver missed the first and then rattled in the second, making the score 59-56. Marlborough's George Jordan threw a baseball pass to Jamie Blank for a chance at a last-second three-pointer. The pass was on the mark, but the shot was no good, and the Panthers' season unfortunately came to an end. Now, these boys have given 100% every game, and we here at Sports Spotlight would like to congratulate this team for a great season. Now, as far as the upcoming week's schedule, there's only the boys hockey team's second-round game, which is yet to be announced. Well, that's it for Sports Spotlight this week. I'm Judd Bornheimer. Marlborough This Week will be back after this.
Remember when we brought you the news last century?
Here's what's going on in your city today, Monday, June 17th, 1996. Topping off our news for tonight, the Marlborough City Councilors voted down.
And that's just going to wrap it up for all of us here at News 30. So as always, thanks for watching. Have a great night.
Is a wonderful program for adolescents between the ages of 11 and 15 years old.
News 30 was then. Marlborough This Week is now. Back by popular demand, tune in to WMCT Channel 10. We bring you the latest in local news.
Welcome back to Marlborough This Week. The Marlborough Regional Chamber of Commerce held its annual Business Awards dinner last night. New Horizons at Marlborough, the Vin Bin, and the Assabet River Rail Trail were among some of the businesses to take home awards. Take a look at what some of the employees had to say.
This is something that's quite a surprise to earn this after just being open a year and a half. But it goes to show that Marlborough wanted this type of business, and we hope that we're providing the service that our customers want.
New Horizons has been selected as Business of the Year by the Chamber of Commerce. We're delighted, given that we've been only in the city since 1993. We have a community of 380 units with about 420 seniors living there now. About 200 staff work for 4 different companies on the campus, and it's great to be recognized for the efforts in providing health and human services to the seniors of the Marlborough community.
We're awarding the Marlborough Pride Award to the Assabet River Rail Trail that just opened between Hudson and Marlborough. I think we have a great group of winners. Our nominating committee did all their research. Our members nominated these people. And I have to tell you, we have exemplary award winners.
Larry LaChance also took home an award for Business Person of the Year.
It's one of the few times that you're somewhat caught, lost for words, but I'm very active in the chamber. Chamber's a great chamber. There's a lot of great people in the chamber, and I feel honored that they thought enough of me and my, being around town, being active, to recognize me.
Well, spring is just around the corner, and that means it's time for some spring cleaning. Those of you with a green thumb can help Marlborough clean up. The 8th annual Adopt a Space program is asking for volunteers to care for a small piece of land. Volunteers will be responsible for taking care of their land for 1 full year. City Council President Arthur Vigent says the program provides much-needed relief for the Department of Public Works.
We know how tight the budgets have been, and the DPW's no different when it comes to that. There's some of these areas that really don't get enough attention because they are so busy down there. So it gives them a little bit of relief from some spaces that may not have been taken care of. It makes them a lot nicer than just throwing down and picking up the trees or broken limbs. You put some flowers in there, and it gives the individuals some pride in what they did and driving by there every day. We try to encourage people to adopt a space near where they work or live so they see it every day.
If you would like to volunteer, call Karen Boulay in the City Council office at 508-460-3711.
In an effort to control the mosquito population, pesticides will be sprayed around Marlborough homes later this spring. If you would like to keep your home pesticide-free, you need to send a letter for exclusion to the city clerk with your name, address, and telephone number by April 1st.
Marlborough's city assessor may be knocking on your door and adjusting your tax rate. The city is touring homes and businesses to update property values. Since taxes are based on property value, these inspections could change the amount of money you owe the state next year.
This is not a door-to-door assessment. The assessment takes place statistically every year. This is just to make sure that the statistics are based on proper information.
The assessor will be looking for property improvements and construction. The city says all assessors will carry identification.
The American Cancer Society is holding its 2nd annual Spin for Hope fundraiser on Sunday. The event is being held at more than 20 participating gyms statewide.
It's a brand new fundraiser. Last year was their first year. They had a goal of about $30,000 because it was an unknown event. And they ended up raising over $100,000 with, I want to say, about 8 health clubs. This year there's, I believe, a minimum of 15 health clubs that are participating. They have raised their goals to $175,000, and to date they have raised $157,000 of that $175,000 goal. So they're very impressed and very fired up about the event.
Here in Marlborough, you can check it out at the Wayside Racket and Swim Club from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. Participants can cycle for the entire 3-hour event or switch off with partners. Prizes will be awarded to individuals who raise the most money. All proceeds will go toward the American Cancer Society.
Well, no longer are Marlborough High School teachers just expected to teach students. Now students are asking them to sing as well. The Student Council will host its first faculty karaoke night on March 15th. The show starts at 7 p.m. in the school's Little Theater. Tickets are $3 at the door, and proceeds will benefit the Student Council's general fund. Student Council members are hoping this will help become an annual tradition.
Every week we'd like to share with you a little piece of Marlborough's history in a segment called 100 Years Ago Today. On February 27, 1906, hundreds of people lined up at the Marlborough Theater for a grand concert. Musicians from the Boston Symphony Orchestra traveled to Marlborough to perform. After giving applause, one person described the event as the finest performance ever given in this city. And I think a lot of people would be applauding if we could get some warmer weather in here.
I think it's ahead, sometime this week, so be patient. Yeah. Well, we may have missed the snow this week, but we certainly got the cold weather it brought along with it. Friday night, we'll see a low of 14 degrees. Saturday will be a little warmer with highs reaching the mid-30s. Sunday will be even warmer. We might even see highs just dipping into the 40s in the afternoon. But temperatures will drop later in the evening to a low of 20 degrees. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, we will see mostly sunny skies with highs nearing 40 degrees. And next weekend, we may see highs reaching 50.
Well, we can complain because it's been very cold, but overall the winter really hasn't been that bad.
It hasn't been. And 50 degrees, come on.
Yeah, I mean, compared to what we've had in other winters
A little
past.
patience wouldn't
right.
hurt.
That's all the time we have for this edition of Marlborough This Week. I'm Dan Ginden.
And I'm Angelique Piccolo. Good night. Oh.
Lukakis.
And I'm Leslie Kanata. Imagine being wrongfully convicted and spending 10 years in prison for something you didn't do. That's exactly what happened to Eric Sarsfield, and it's our top story this weekend. The former Marlborough man was convicted of rape, but has since been exonerated by DNA testing. Now, Sarsfield is suing the city of Marlborough for $2 million. Councilors approved the dollar amount in a special city council meeting Monday night. And while this seems like a lot, the city's legal counsel said it could have been a lot worse if the city had not settled outside of court. If a jury had awarded Sarsfield tens of millions of dollars, it would have left Marlborough bankrupt.
Even a $10 million judgment, we don't have $10 million, number one. We don't have items that we could dispose of readily to create the $10 million. You'd have to go to the taxpayers. The taxpayers on a 2.5 override would in all probability not voted in favor of the amount. We would have had to try to borrow the money. We would have needed the state legislature's permission. It would have put us into a position where our bonds, our municipal bonds, would have probably been rated as junk bond status. So we would have gone from an A-rated, paying market rate interest to having our bonds skyrocket an additional cost to taxpayers. It would have forced the city into bankruptcy.
$600,000 will be taken from the city's health care fund and another $1.4 million from the city's stabilization fund. Mayor Nancy Stevens told the Metro West Daily News that the money they will take from the health care fund is actually a portion of what the fund owes the city. The city has already spent $400,000 in legal fees on the case. The settlement will not raise taxes.
Officials at Richer Elementary School are keeping a close watch on their 450 students. That's because a teacher's aide at their school has bacterial meningitis. The 22-year-old teacher from Holliston was moved from intensive care on Thursday and is now recovering. Officials say she worked closely with 3 students who are now being treated with antibiotics. The disease can spread among people in close contact through saliva, sneezing, coughing, or even by kissing. The principal says the school will be watching its students for signs of the illness for the next 3 weeks. Symptoms include a high fever, headaches, nausea, stiffness in the neck, and mental confusion. And while cases of the disease have declined in Massachusetts during the past 15 years, they haven't completely disappeared. Earlier this week, a 7-year-old first grader in Lowell died from that same form of meningitis, and that was the 15th meningitis death in the state since 2002.
It wasn't all fun and games at last weekend's Children Fair and Zoo. The traveling zoo visited Marlborough's Best Western Royal Plaza Trade Center and left a 4-year-old girl and 2 adults injured. Dorothy Eovine says her 4-year-old daughter Amber and 7-year-old son were told by workers to wait on a ramp in line for an elephant and camel ride. Amber lost her balance and fell about 5 feet from the ramp into the area where the animals were standing. She was rushed to UMass Memorial in Worcester with head trauma and was released later that day. In a separate incident on Sunday, 2 workers were also hurt. Timothy Comerford and Asham Saron were handling elephants for kiddie rides when one of the elephants shifted its weight, pinning them against a wall. Comerford suffers from minor chest injury and Saron has a broken arm. Both were taken by ambulance to the Marlborough Hospital and later released. A spokesperson for the group, People for the Ethical Treatment of Animals, says there have been many complaints against Comerford and Sons, who run the zoo. But the U.S. Department of Agriculture says there are no open investigations against the company at this time.
Marlborough Farm is up for sale, and there's debate as to what is going to be built on that land once it's purchased. The Urban Affairs Subcommittee denied a request Tuesday night to rezone a portion of the land that would keep it residential. The City Council still needs to vote on the request, but if they shoot it down, a 70,000 square foot commercial building might be built on the land, along with homes. For the past year, Marlborough's planning board has been hoping the city will one day have enough money to buy the land, but the likelihood of this happening is getting slimmer every day. Mayor Nancy Stevens says the simply doesn't have the money.
A plan is underway to enhance Marlborough's image as a good place to live, work, visit, or even invest in. The Legislative and Legal Affairs Committee approved a request Monday night to allow Mayor Nancy Stevens to file legislation to establish the Marlborough 2010 Corporation. The proposed corporation will be a tax-exempt economic development organization made up of community leaders. Stevens is asking for $25,000 a year for the next 3 years to fund the project.
If you're looking to buy a home, you'll want to know about a below-market rate mortgage loan program. The Massachusetts Credit Union League, based out of Marlborough, announced on Monday that it's going to sponsor the National Home Loan Payment Relief Program. The program is going to offer adjustable rate mortgages at 1 percentage point below the market rate for 3 years. Wondering if you're qualified for the program? You need to make the same or less money than the Marlborough median family income level, which is about $70,000 a year.
Attorney General Thomas Riley made a special visit to Marlborough High School on Tuesday. He spoke to students enrolled in the science, technology, and robotics class about how important math and science is and encouraged students to strengthen these skills. As part of his education plan, Riley says he will offer college scholarships, recruit tutors, increase teacher training, and offer more internships to students in the state.
Marlborough police are cracking down on underage drinking. They conducted a sting operation last weekend by sending 3 teens into 19 local bars and liquor stores. And out of those 19 establishments, a restaurant called Joy Asia on Boston Post Road East was the only one to serve alcohol to a minor.
This particular weekend, we had a very good, they did very good. All the package stores and convenience stores asked for the IDs, and it went so quickly we had time left over, so we also hit a half dozen restaurants. And out of those half dozen restaurants, we got 1 violation at Joy Asia where the 2 girls went in, sat down in the restaurant part, and one asked for a Corona, the other one asked for a Bud Light, and they were served the beers.
3 months ago, police conducted a similar operation, and at that time, 4 establishments were cited for serving minors. Police say they're going to file a complaint against Joy Asia at the Licensing Commission's next meeting. And we're going to take a quick break here on Marlborough this week.
But when we return, Judd Bornheimer will have more in sports. Stay tuned. A new study shows the Marlborough Police Department might be short-staffed. The study compares the city with 20 similar communities. Police Chief Mark Leonard says the department has been understaffed since 2003 when 6 officers were laid off. He says the city now has 42 officers but is trying to get back to 48, which is what they had in 2003 before budget cuts.
A Marlborough man is in trouble with the law. 19-year-old John Funka was arrested Tuesday morning for allegedly beating up his pregnant girlfriend and taking off with her Sony PlayStation. Police say he forced his way into his girlfriend's home and disconnected the phone after she dialed 911 and hung up. He was arraigned in court yesterday, charged with aggravated assault and battery on a pregnant woman, unarmed assault and burglary, vandalism, larceny over $250, and intimidation of a witness. Funka posted $500 cash bail and was released Tuesday night, and he's expected to be back in court March 10th.
Another woman was taken to Marlborough Hospital Monday night after her fiancé attacked her. 51-year-old Paul Sheehan allegedly attacked his fiancé after watching a movie together. Police say Sheehan fell asleep after drinking about 10 beers. When he awoke, he accused the woman of trying to leave him. Sheehan is being charged with assault with intent to murder and 3 counts of assault with a weapon, intimidating a witness, and assault and battery.
A Marlborough man is being held without bail this weekend. 39-year-old McAndre Maxander allegedly forced his way into a couple's apartment asking for cigarettes. When the couple refused, Maxander showed a BB gun. Police say he got through the building's security using a fake New York ID. After leaving the apartment without any cigarettes, he went to CVS, where he is said to have gotten into an argument with employees because his cigarette box was apparently crushed. Police saw his vehicle and followed him to his apartment at Windsor Heights, where he was arrested.
The man and woman accused of kidnapping 2 children from their Marlborough home in November will go before a judge next year. 43-year-old Dennis Piper and 37-year-old Kathy Trotta beat up and then tied Rebecca Borney of Marlborough. They then kidnapped her 3-year-old son and her 5-year-old foster daughter, Grace. A Middlesex Superior Court judge announced yesterday that the trial for the kidnappers will be January 22nd of 2007.
And the Marlborough man accused of holding a gun to a woman's side and trying to snatch her purse has been arraigned. The incident occurred a month ago near the Lazy Dog restaurant. Frederick Cardona was brought into the Marlborough police station a few days ago, where the victim identified him as her attacker. He was arrested Thursday morning.
A Marlborough family had quite the scare on Sunday. They were on their way to church when they began having car trouble. Soon after noticing something just wasn't right, their car caught on fire on Hemingway Street. Firefighters were able to put it out in 20 minutes. One firefighter says the entire car was up in flames and it was a total loss. Nobody was injured.
But in another unrelated accident on Wednesday night, 4 people were sent to the hospital. Police say 2 cars collided at the intersection of Church and Hildreth Streets. One of the cars was left with a traffic light on its roof. The accident is still under investigation.
Judd Bornheimer is here with sports.
Okay, and Judd, what's going on in Marlborough sports this week?
Hello again, Marlborough. Welcome back for another edition of Sports Spotlight. I'm Judd Bornheimer, and here's a look at what's going on in the world of Panther sports. With only 1 game on the schedule this week, we here at the Spotlight thought we would introduce you to another of Marlborough High's greatest athletes. Although the girls' basketball team did not reach their team goal this year, a personal goal was met by one of their star players. Since the beginning of the season, the Lady Panthers star forward, Danielle Jenkins, has been chasing a milestone rarely reached by any basketball player. That goal, surpassing 1,000 points for her career. In the Lady Panthers' last game, she accomplished this historic milestone and put the finishing touches on her great 4-year career. I went down to the high school to talk with Danielle and to see how this milestone was affecting her, her reflections on her career at MHS, and what her plans for the future may be.
It really still hasn't hit me yet. I'm very excited still. I'm still getting all the congratulations. But having my name up on that banner, it'll be there forever. So I'll get used to it. I was nervous all week. They switched the game to Wednesday so my whole family could go. And so our last game was the Thursday before. So I had almost a week to kind of chill out. But I didn't go anywhere. I didn't go out. I didn't want anything to happen. I was very superstitious. And right before the game, I was very nervous. I was all shaky. But the 7 points took a long time to get, longer than usual. It took about 11 minutes. Friendship. Like when we started volleyball, there's a lot of girls that got transferred from different countries here, and all my friends, we all became like a big family. And same with basketball, there were a lot of young underclassmen, so I had to kind of put them under my wing, and so they would be friends with all the older kids too as well. I'm going to Salem State College to play basketball, and I'm going to work really hard over the summer. I want to try to dunk, because my brother thinks I can't do it, but I'm going to. I'm really excited to play for Tim Shea. He's a really good coach, and Salem State's going really far.
It was a pleasure talking with Danielle, and we wish her the best of luck as she moves on to Salem State and hopefully another 1,000-point milestone. Well, as you found out last week, the boys' basketball season came to an end with the heartbreaking loss to Milford, leaving only the boys' hockey team as Marlborough High's only hope for a state championship. Well, unfortunately, the Panthers' Cinderella run of the past few weeks has come to an end. They matched up with North Middlesex Monday night in the Division III state quarterfinal game. It was a hard-fought contest with the game-winning goal only coming minutes before the third period came to a close. Power play goals by Wes Russell and Matt Ryan kept the team close, but missed opportunities like not converting on a 5-on-3 advantage late in the second hurt the Panthers. Despite a scoreless second period for both teams, Marlborough lost by the score of 3-2. Now, like the boys' basketball team, this group of young hockey players has shown a lot of heart and determination over the past few months. A lot of people, including yours truly, counted them out when they had to win 4 of their last 5 games in order to even qualify for the state tournament, much less be victorious in their first game as a 14th seed. We here at the Sports Spotlight want to congratulate the Panthers for a hard-fought season and their great run to the state tournament. Well, with the hockey team now eliminated, there are no longer any MHS teams competing. However, the spring teams are now hard at work and their games are right around the corner. Well, that will put an end to this week's edition of Sports Spotlight. I'd like to thank Danielle Jenkins again for allowing us to talk to her, and of course wish her success at the college level, even though she is now a rival of my Worcester State Lancers. Check back here next week for all the happenings in Marlborough sports. I'm Judd Bornheimer, and with Pack 42 of the Marlborough Cub Scouts, here they are. Marlborough This Week. We'll be back after this.
You could have a great career, and you should, yes you should. Only one thing stops you, dear. You're too good, way too good. If you want a future, darling, why don't you get a pass? 'Cause that fatal moment's coming at last. You're all alone, no chaperone, and get our number. The world's in slumber, let's misbehave. There's something wild about you, child, that's so contagious. Let's be outrageous, let's misbehave. When Adam won Eve's hand, he wouldn't stand for teasing. He didn't care about those apples out of season. They say that spring means just one thing to little lovebirds. We're not above birds, let's misbehave. It's getting late, and while I wait, my poor heart aches on. Why keep the brakes on? Let's misbehave. I feel quite sure Uncle Dunmore would be attractive. While we're still active, let's misbehave. You know They say that bears have love affairs, and even camels. With many mammals, let's misbehave.
Welcome back. And Leslie, after getting welcome back like that, we might have a couple of future news anchors in the making.
Certainly looks that way. The American Cancer Society held its second annual Spin for Hope fundraiser on Sunday. The event was held at the Wayside Racket and Swim Club, along with more than 20 participating gyms statewide.
It's a brand new fundraiser. Last year was their first year. They had a goal of about $30,000 because it was an unknown event, and they ended up raising over $100,000 with, I want to say, about 8 health clubs.
Here in Marlborough, 17 people came out to participate in the fundraiser. They raised about $17,500. Statewide, the American Cancer Society was able to raise more than $250,000.
And there's also another local cancer fundraiser in the works. Courtney Thaberge is a student at Assabet Regional Technical High School, and she's sponsoring a day of fundraisers. On May 12th, students can donate $5 and get out of class to participate in a walk for cancer on the school grounds. Thaberge is anticipating 1,000 walkers. Wow. Other fundraisers are going to benefit the Childhood Cancer Foundation.
Well, spring is just around the corner, and that means it's time for some spring cleaning. Those of you with a green thumb can help Marlborough clean up. The 8th annual Adopt a Space program is asking for volunteers to care for a small piece of land. Volunteers will be responsible for taking care of their land for 1 full year. City Council President Arthur Vigent says the program provides much-needed relief for the Department of Public Works.
We know how tight the budgets have been, and the DPW's no different when it comes to that. There's some of these areas that really don't get enough attention because they are so busy down there. So it gives them a little bit of relief from some spaces that may not have been taken care of. It makes them a lot nicer than just throwing down and picking up the trees or broken limbs. You know, you put some flowers in there, and it gives the individuals some pride in what they did and driving by there every day. We try to encourage people to adopt a space near where they work or live so they see it every day.
If you would like to volunteer, call Karen Boulay in the City Council office at 508-460-3711.
In an effort to control the mosquito population, pesticides are going to be sprayed around Marlborough homes later this spring. If you'd like to keep your home pesticide-free, you'll need to send a letter for exclusion to the city clerk with your name, address, and telephone number by April 1st.
Marlborough's city assessor may be knocking on your door and adjusting your tax rate. The city is touring homes and businesses to update property values. Since taxes are based on a property value, these inspections could change the amount of money you owe the state next year.
This is not a door-to-door assessment. The assessment takes place statistically every year. This is just to make sure that the statistics are based on proper information.
The assessor will be looking for property improvements and construction. The city says all assessors will carry identification.
And every week, we'd like to share with you a little piece of Marlborough's history in a segment we call 100 Years Ago This Week. On March 9th, 1906, an order was passed to have every dog in Marlborough muzzled for 90 days. A week earlier, a rabid animal ran through town, and between 60 and 70 dogs were bit. Within a week of the attacks, 26 of them had either died or had already been quarantined. Mayor Henry Parsons told city officials to enforce the law with gunfire if necessary. In the following weeks, the local paper ran several stories about the rabid animals and the dozens more that were put to sleep.
If you've been outside today, you know it's getting warmer. The first day of spring is March 20th, but the way the weekend is looking, we might be feeling spring a little early this year. Friday afternoon, we saw a high of 59 degrees, and we'll see a low of about 37 in the evening. Cloudy skies will give way Friday evening to clear skies and even sunny skies on Saturday. We'll see a high of 60 on Saturday, but in the evening it will cool down to 37. Sunday is looking sunny with a chance of thunderstorms. We will reach highs in the mid-50s with a low of 40. Monday and Tuesday we will see highs in the 50s, but it will cool down just a little midweek to give us highs in the 40s.
And you know, Leslie, even at this point, highs in the 40s really doesn't sound that bad. It's really going to sound very, very nice to get out of this deep freeze once and for all.
It sounds very warm right now.
It certainly does. We could definitely use it after a long New England winter. Okay, and that's all the time we have for this edition of Marlborough This Week. I'm Mike Hoy-Lukakis.
I'm Leslie Kanata. Have a great weekend.
Take care.
Coming up on Marlborough This Week, Marlborough's police department might not be short-staffed for long.
And that's not the B-50s Who's you're looking at, but they sure sound like them. Why Marlborough's high school teachers are singing to their students.
Good evening and welcome to Marlborough This Week. I'm Dan Ginding.
And I'm Deirdre Andiorio.
I'll tell you, I would love to hear what American Idol's Simon Cowell would say about these performances.
Definitely. I really think they should give Idol a shot next year.
That would be interesting. But first, let's get a look at this week's news. Marlborough is looking for a new school superintendent. It was a heated topic at Tuesday night's school committee meeting where a salary range was discussed. A range of $140,000 to $160,000 was suggested by the negotiations subcommittee. But Mayor Nancy Stevens said she did not support the range because she thought it was too high and the city would not be able to afford it.
I am not in favor of the salary range that has come out of the negotiation subcommittee. I would feel more comfortable with 130 to 150 rather than 140 to 160. That's my personal judgment.
She suggested a salary range that was about $20,000 less. However, others agreed that the higher salary range would be attractive to candidates. Marlborough's current superintendent, Rosemarie Boniface, makes $143,000. Board members also discussed what qualifications they would like to see in a candidate. A master's degree or some form of advanced degree, about 10 years of experience in education, administrative experience, and good communication skills were some of the qualifications they said they would like to see in a candidate.
Marlborough may be welcoming 7 new police officers. This comes 1 week after a study was released showing that the City of Marlborough's police department may be short-staffed. For the past several months, they've been looking for candidates and conducting background checks. Now that they've narrowed it down, they'll hope to have the officers appointed very quickly.
We're in the process of hiring 7 officers to replace some retirements and to get back some of the officers who were laid off in 2003. 2 of them are already academy trained. One is currently a police officer in Shrewsbury. One's a police officer in Barry. And we hope to have them on board hopefully within the next couple of weeks. And the 5 remaining would have to attend a police academy. We've tentatively got them scheduled for a March academy. So if that's the case, then they'll be in the academy for 21 weeks, and then they'll go through some field training here. So we'd hopefully have them out on the road late September, early October. So that's the plan right now.
Police Chief Mark Leonard says the money for the officers is built into the budget. The department currently has 39 officers. Leonard says he wants to get back to 48, which is what they had in 2003 before the budget cuts.
It might be hello to 7 new officers, but it's goodbye to one of Marlborough's community workers. Janice Long has worked in Marlborough for 10 years as an outreach coordinator. But now she's leaving and going to Hudson, where she will become the new director of the Hudson Council on Aging. Janice, we wish you the best of luck.
It was only 1 week ago that the city of Marlborough was sued for $2 million for wrongly convicting a man of rape. Now the lawyers of 2 men being charged for a stabbing for a Marlborough man said that they are also charging the wrong suspects. 23-year-old Dwayne Johnson of Dorchester and 22-year-old Alexandra Banos of Roxbury were said to have stabbed 36-year-old Sean Middleton back in October. Their attorney says that if the case does go to trial, they will fight the validity of the witness reports.
A Marlborough man is being held on $10,000 bail. 39-year-old McCondre Maxander forced his way into a couple's apartment last week. His motive? He wanted cigarettes. When the couple refused to hand over the tobacco, Maxander flashed a BB gun. After leaving the apartment with no cigarettes, he went to CVS, where he got into an argument with an employee because his cigarette box was apparently crushed. Police saw his vehicle and followed him to his apartment at Windsor Heights, where he was arrested. Police say he got through security using a fake New York ID. A Marlborough District Court judge set Maxander's bail at $10,000 after deciding that he is a danger to the public. One of Maxander's family members reportedly said they can't afford to release him. He's being charged with armed assault to rob, assault with a dangerous weapon, impersonating a police officer, disturbing the peace, failure to stop for police, and operating a motor vehicle under the influence of alcohol. This is Maxander's second DUI offense.
Another Marlborough man was ordered held on $2,500 cash bail. A judge set the bail for Frederick Cardona, who allegedly used a gun to try to rob a woman outside of the Lazy Dog restaurant. The 36-year-old man is being charged with armed assault with intent to rob and assault and battery. He's expected back in court on April 28th.
Marlborough may be getting more money from state funding this year than last. Local legislators made the announcement at Monday night's City Council meeting. Apparently, the legislature is trying to raise state funding to the dollar amounts they received in 2001 and 2002. State Representative Stephen LeDuc wrote a letter to the council last month stating that the city will receive a 22% increase in lottery aid and a 10% increase in Chapter 70 aid.
I think what we did over the last few years by keeping a very healthy reserve compared to other states put us in a position to have healthy revenues this year, to be able to pour in more local aid dollars at a 17% return. I'm optimistic about the future. One of my major concerns is the state of the economy. But however, in the Metro West area, mostly the greater Marlborough area, things look robust compared to our peers.
Also at Monday night's City Council meeting, a tax relief proposal is in the works. Councillor Michael Ossing asked for help creating the proposal that would freeze the taxes of elderly residents who have lived in the city for more than 2 decades.
Mayor Nancy Stevens and Public Works Commissioner Ron Lafreniere traveled to Washington, D.C. last week to meet with congressmen. They were advocating for federal assistance funding for wastewater treatment projects.
And we've been working with the mayor's office aggressively to help out with certain projects, namely the project that's on our plate, the water treatment plant, the sewer water treatment plant. Obviously a huge obligation to the city, much needed for our growth, but huge demands in terms of mandates, both federally and state, and we think we're very deserving of state allocation of dollars.
The projects are expected to cost an estimated $70 million. This money would be spent to upgrade the city's 2 treatment plants. Stevens says the trip went fantastic. Hopkinton, Framingham, Waltham, Concord have all recently been approved for loans totaling more than $30 million to pay for water and sewer projects.
Marlborough officials won't be the only ones looking at the city's financial books, according to Karen Kisty, who is the mayor's aide. Marlborough is on a waiting list to have an outside firm evaluate the city's financial practices. Mayor Nancy Stevens promised to do a financial management review after her inauguration in early January. The free service will look at all of Marlborough's departments and offer advice as to how the city can perform services in different ways to save money. Kisty says the review may begin in September.
The Marlborough Community Development Corporation wants a special city permit to demolish some homes on Fay Court, and it looks like they're going to have to keep waiting for that permit. The Urban Affairs Committee tabled discussions on the proposal this week. They will once again approach the topic at Tuesday night's meeting at 7 p.m. If approved, the homes at 20 Fay Court will be torn down. In its place, a 3-story building with underground parking. The proposal would increase parking from 2 to 8 spaces. Some city department heads say the homes that are there right now are substandard and unsafe.
If you've been down D'Angelo Drive lately, you might have noticed some construction. That's because the headquarters of Ken's Food here in Marlborough is expanding. And they're about 3/4 of the way through their $5 million expansion. The building will see new administrative offices, a new test kitchen, and a demonstration area where salespeople can show the company's salad dressing flavors. The expansion is expected to be completed this summer. The company will be hiring a few new employees as well.
If you're a property owner, you need to hear this. There's a new law requiring that you have to have a carbon monoxide detector in your home by the end of the month. Nicole's law was named after a 7-year-old girl who died of carbon monoxide poisoning. It requires new detectors to be put on every floor. They can be purchased at hardware stores for as low as $25.
When we come back, we'll tell you why one Marlborough 5th grader is gearing up for her trip to D.C.
And Judd Bornheimer will have everything you need to know in sports. That's all coming up. When Kaylee Pavaricini wrote an essay that her teacher assigned in class, she had no idea that it would be taking her to Washington, D.C. But it is. Her essay was one of 2,000 that were entered into a contest. The topic, parental involvement. Judges were impressed with Kaylee's ideas and named her one of 10 nationwide winners. Now she's heading her way to the nation's capital to read her essay to Congress. Take a look at what she had to say at this week's school committee meeting.
Students need their parents to support them as they learn and grow. Not every parent can come into school and help in the classroom, and not every parent can attend meetings or help with events or fundraisers. But every parent can have a direct influence on their child's learning. Parental involvement can make a big difference in a child's life. Thank you.
As part of Kaylee's prize, her school will be receiving $1,000 to implement her new parental involvement plan.
No longer are students at Marlborough High School satisfied that their teachers are just teaching them. Now they want them to sing for them as well. And they did just that. WMCT's Leslie Kanata has more. Leslie.
On Wednesday night, the faculty at Marlborough High School put their voices and reputations on the line in the first annual faculty karaoke.
They'll make fools of themselves, but they'll have a good time doing it, and everyone will have a good time laughing with them. So I think it'll be very entertaining for everybody.
The faculty would be cheered by everyone in attendance, but it is the 4 student council judges that will seal their fates as winners or just another karaoke performance.
We're looking for creative performances, people who really have a lot of energy on stage and really do a good job with their song.
I'm expecting all comedy, really hamming it up and having fun with it, because I think that the teachers know that the students aren't necessarily going to take them seriously, so they should just have fun.
Kids have been excited about it all week long. They can't wait to see us make fools out of ourselves.
You could feel the excitement from the crowd the moment they walked in and took their seats.
Oh, they'll look good. They're going to look good. I'm like American Idol.
To the final performance of the night.
That's where it's at. Hugging and a kissing and
the theme of tonight's faculty karaoke was fun. It was all for a good cause, to raise money for student council.
Roughly $950 was raised for the student council. They knew what good use they could put it to.
Usually every year we go to the MASC conference and see the MASC conferences, which are just gatherings of all the other student councils throughout the state and through our district. So hopefully the proceeds from tonight will go to defraying some of those costs for transportation.
For Marlborough This Week, I'm Leslie Canada.
Wow, and it looks like they had a lot of fun doing it.
Yeah, they did. I was there with Leslie as well doing a piece for Marlborough Magazine. I played the Ryan Seacrest role. So you can look for that exciting story on Marlborough Magazine in April.
Should be good.
For now, let's just go to Judd and see what Judd has going in sports.
Thanks, Dan. Well, this week wasn't exactly the most active of the year in Marlborough sports. In fact, there aren't any scores or highlights to report, but that doesn't mean we don't have a great spotlight for you this week. Now, last week, the boys hockey team lost to North Middlesex in the state tournament, ending their great run of 4 straight Central Mass titles and their hopes for winning back-to-back state titles. In the world of today's high school hockey, it is very difficult for public schools like MHS to dominate a field like the Panthers have over the past 5 years, as we found out when we sat down with the head coach of the boys hockey team, John Butler.
If I look back on the season, it probably goes back right before the Worcester game. We had started the season off 1-5-4, which isn't a great start. And I thought the kids thought they were done for the year. And I just told them, last year's team, the guys we had, Bobby Kay, Bobby Collusion, Jeremy Link, Jason Hafer, Bob Butler, Craig Sagan, and Mike O'Brien, and Brian Tramontozzi, all those guys had the will to win. They worked hard. They all brought something to the table, something different, whether it was scoring or back checking or forechecking or penalty killing. They all did something, and they wanted to win. And I felt that our guys right now were waiting for someone else to do it and didn't realize they had to do it. And we had 10 games left, and all I asked them to do was give me 110%. And if they do that, whether we go 0-10 or 10-0, I'll be happy as a coach. And I think once we started winning games, Andrew started getting confident, started seeing the puck better. We started winning games, and that just snowballed into a great finish for the kids. So I think back then, that's when the kids realized, those guys, other guys that graduated aren't going to be there to do it. They had to do it themselves. So I think that was a turning point of our season, and that's why the kids finished so strong.
What made Marlborough High so successful as far as hockey goes over the last 5 years?
I think it was a combination of a lot of things. We had great kids. We had a great group of kids, very talented group of kids. I thought our youth program played a huge part in it. We had some great coaches down there, volunteer coaches that had played the game, that had coached our kids. And my kids, I got involved in the youth program to coach my kids, and that youth program had those kids come up together, and it just made for a great run of kids. I can remember thinking back when these kids were miting squirts, telling the kids and the parents that where are you going to be in 202 and 203 when we win a state title. I projected that we were going to do that. Matter of fact, I gave them a picture of the kids when they were little, and on the back I wrote "See you at the Boston Garden in 203." So it was kind of ironic that I did that, but I felt that those kids growing up together, that gave us that ability to have that great run. You know what I mean? We went to the Centrum 5 years in a row. We lost our first year to North Middlesex in 201, and then we won 4 in a row. And again, we lost this year to North Middlesex before we got there. So, we had an opportunity to go 6 years in a row, but 4 years, getting there 5 years is just a great run for a program. And then every year we progressed. We won the district, lost in the semis. Then we got to the finals against Bourne 2 years ago in 04, lost to them in the finals in overtime. And then last year we won the state title. So it was something that it started a long time ago when these kids were 7, 8, 9 years old, and they stuck together. They developed as great hockey players and great kids, and that's where the run started. And it's been a great ride.
It's a shame to see a run like the Panthers have had come to an end, but we'd like to congratulate the players of the current and past teams for their accomplishments. Now, we all know that the 20th Winter Olympic Games are a thing of the past, but another less publicized event just finished up, and not only did some Marlborough residents compete, but some of the events took place right here in Marlborough. The event I'm speaking about is the Special Olympics. We took some time to look into this wonderful event and how it affects people both young and old.
Nearly 30 Marlborough residents participated in this year's Special Olympics. Greater Marlborough programs also came out to sponsor some of this year's athletes.
We've been participating for over 15 years, probably closer to 20. We have approximately 40 to 50 athletes in various sports that would compete during any given event. We provide our own fundraising for our athletes and training and transportation to practices and the actual Special Olympic events.
But it wasn't just a day of competition, it was also a day of celebration for many parents who saw their children participate in activities they never thought possible.
It was tremendous for me because I had never experienced him participating in organized sport. My older son always did, so it was great for him, for me, to see him participate. I mean, I think we cried the whole way through every time he ran over the finish line, and it was a lot of work for him because he is autistic, and that in itself is a disorder that requires a lot of concentration to do to participate in those types of sports.
Parents weren't the only ones who left proud. Many participants left feeling that they had helped to accomplish something.
It was teamwork, which is wonderful for him. He just loves running. I think he loved playing. He loved running. He made a few friends on the Jedis, and for me, it was just wonderful to see him being able to participate in an organized sport.
Yeah, you need to go to do an event to really experience the joy that the folks have. They're very competitive. They come back for more. We have numerous athletes that join us yearly, whether it be for one sport or another. And it's just a good, clean time had by all.
For Marlborough This Week, I'm Judd Bornheimer.
If you would like more information about the Special Olympics, you can find it at their website at specialolympics.org. Well, that's it for Sports Spotlight this week. I'm Judd Bornheimer. Marlborough This Week will be back after this.
You could have a great career, and you should, yes you should. Only one thing stops you, dear. You're too good, way too good. If you want a future, darling, why don't you get a pass? 'Cause that fatal moment's coming at last. You're all alone, no chaperone, and get our number. The world's in slumber, let's misbehave. There's something wild about you, child, that's so contagious. Let's be outrageous, let's misbehave. When Adam won Eve's hand, he wouldn't stand for teasing. He didn't care about those apples out of season. They say that spring means just one thing to little lovebirds. We're not above birds, let's misbehave. It's getting late, and while I wait, my poor heart aches on. Why keep the brakes on? Let's misbehave. I feel quite sure Uncle Dunmore would be attractive. While we're still active, let's misbehave. You know my heart is true when you say you for me care. Somebody's shot to tell, but what the heck do we care? They say that bears have love affairs, and even camels. We're many mammals, let's misbehave.
welcome back to Marlborough This Week. The construction of a senior citizen assisted living facility is underway. Earlier this year, there were some holdups due to contamination of the land the building was set to be built on. But now that mess has been cleaned up, construction can move forward. Christopher House Assisted Living Incorporated is building an 83-unit development. The majority of those units will be one-bedroom apartments with some studio apartments. Mayor Nancy Stevens says it will be likely completed by the fall of 2007.
Well, the price of gas is on the rise. AAA of Southern New England reported Monday that the state's average price for regular gasoline is now up to $2.25 a gallon. That's up 4 cents from last week. A spokesperson for the Rhode Island-based nonprofit Auto Club says Massachusetts residents can expect to get more expensive in the warm summer months.
Spring is just around the corner, so there's a little good news, and that means it's time for some spring cleaning. Those of you with a green thumb can help Marlborough clean up. The 8th annual Adopt a Space program is asking for volunteers to care for a small piece of land. Volunteers will be responsible for taking care of their land for 1 full year. City Council President Arthur Vigent says the program provides much-needed relief for the Department of Public Works.
We know how tight the budgets have been, and the DPW's no different when it comes to that. There's some of these areas that really don't get enough attention because they are so busy down there. So it gives them a little bit of relief from some spaces that may not have been taken care of. It makes them a lot nicer than just throwing down and picking up the trees or broken limbs. You know, you put some flowers in there, and it gives the individuals some pride in what they did and driving by there every day. We try to encourage people to adopt a space near where they work or live so they see it every day.
If you would like to volunteer, call Karen Boulay in the City Council office at 508-460-3711.
In an effort to control the mosquito population, pesticides will be sprayed around Marlborough homes later this spring. If you would like to keep your home pesticide-free, you need to send a letter for exclusion to the city clerk with your name, address, telephone number, and do that all by April 1st.
Marlborough's city assessor may be knocking on your door and adjusting your tax rate. The city is touring homes and businesses to update property values. Since taxes are based on property value, these inspections could change the amount of money you owe the state next year.
This is not a door-to-door assessment. The assessment takes place statistically every year. This is just to make sure that the statistics are based on proper information.
The assessor will be looking for property improvements and construction. The city says all assessors will carry identification.
Now, every week we'd like to share with you a little piece of Marlborough's history in a segment called 100 Years Ago This Week. On Friday, March 16, 1906, Marlborough residents were snowed in. The night before, they were struck with what they say was the worst blizzard in 13 years. Along with 8 inches of snow, the storm also brought winds reaching up to 60 miles per hour.
That's a storm I'm not so sorry I missed out on.
Yeah, I know it's going to be a little bit chilly this week, but at least it's not going to be anything like that.
Right. Let's get a look at our weather for this weekend. The first day of spring is Monday, so again, the light is the light is there at the end of the tunnel. And while we're not seeing those spring temperatures just yet, we're at least not seeing snow. Friday will reach a high of 39 degrees, but will dip into the high teens overnight. Saturday will be just a little bit colder with highs of 35 and a low of 20. Sunday will be similar with a high of 37 and a low of 21 degrees. Then we'll see if we start to warm up just a little on Monday for the start of spring. But don't get your hopes up because we're not talking about 70 degrees here. If we're lucky, we'll hit a high of 40. But by next weekend, we may even see highs near the 50s. So if I could just read the weather right, I'd be happy.
Yeah, I mean, you're not asking too much.
So I guess we're going to leave everyone tonight with a look at the B-52s. Not the original B-52s, but like a cover
Not the real
band.
deal, but just as good.
Yeah, we're going to take a look at that and have a great weekend. I'm Dan Ginden.
And I'm Deirdre Andiorio. Have a great St. Patrick's Day weekend, everybody. Good night.
To the light.
Coming up on Marlborough this week, it was a black tie social event that many of Marlborough residents have had marked on their calendars for months. It happened last weekend, and we'll give you an inside look.
A Marlborough fugitive is behind bars. We'll tell you how they caught him and where. It wasn't in Marlborough.
The city of Marlborough needs your help. How you can help prepare the city for the deadly bird flu. All that and more coming up.
Good evening and welcome to Marlborough This Week. I'm Keegan Feeney.
And I'm Angelique Piccolo. Our top story this weekend. Some Marlborough police officers traveled to Florida this week where they were able to nab a Massachusetts fugitive. 34-year-old Juan Ardilla was a Rhode Island man who was convicted in 2002 for selling cocaine in Marlborough. Police arrested him about 4 years ago after he sold cocaine to an undercover officer on Boston Post Road. After posting $15,000 bail, Ardilla fled and police were left clueless as to where he might have been hiding out. That's until recently, when police got word that Ardilla had been living in Miami since 2002.
We had received an anonymous tip that he may be down there. Whoever forwarded the tip to us knew that he was wanted, and that information was forwarded to our detective unit, who contacted the authorities in Florida, and they were able to pick him up on our outstanding warrant. And a couple of days ago, a detective from this department, Detective Lupian, went down with a deputy from the Sheriff's Department to pick up Mr. Avila and bring him back to Marlborough to face those charges.
Ardilla was flown back to Massachusetts Tuesday night after his arrest. He could face a minimum mandatory sentence of 5 years in state prison. Since Ardilla has been in the U.S. on a work visa, he could also be deported back to Colombia after serving his sentence.
Mayor Nancy Stevens and her husband Dan hosted this year's charity ball. Hundreds of Marlborough residents and officials attended the event held last Saturday evening. Many came clad in diamonds and gowns, but the theme of the evening went far beyond appearances. I was there. Let's take a look.
Last weekend, the Royal Plaza Hotel hosted the latest Mayor's Charity Ball. The theme was an Enchanted Evening, and that's just the way the Ball's committee made the guests feel. So once again, the committee and its co-chairs did a great job.
Even looking around, you can see that a tremendous amount of work went into tonight. We had a great committee, an outstanding group of people. They all worked really hard to make tonight happen, and it's happening.
The little enchanted forests that are on the way down to the ballroom and doing the doors and all of that. And because I know that Nancy is trying to play it down a little bit being the first woman mayor, I thought it was very important that we have fresh flowers. So we have long stem white roses as our centerpiece, and we actually made them all this morning.
Bobby Kays and Linda Ossing as chairs, this is the second time they've done it as co-chairs, is just amazing. But the people that have put the time in, the 30 people of this committee, it's just unbelievable. I'm very appreciative of everything that they've done, and I thank them sincerely from the bottom of my heart for this evening.
Even the MOVE program from Assabet Valley High School was on hand to create the desserts for the evening.
There's 6 here tonight, but during the week, the preparation of the dessert, there were 28 total that worked on the project.
So this is a big event for them, you know.
To get them out here on a Saturday is just asking them to come out on a Saturday and having them show up is a good deal.
And what would an enchanted evening be without a magician? Hi.
Hi, my name is Matt Roberts, professional magician and entertainment expert.
Nice to meet you. Do you have a trick for us tonight?
I would love to do a quick trick for you. A quick card trick. Could you please select any card you like?
That one.
Anyone. That's the one?
That's
okay.
the one right there.
We'll take that out and show it to the viewers at home. Now, in this case, I can actually look at the card. That's the Queen of Clubs. I'll place it on top of the deck and cut it to the center. Now, if I just hold the deck like this and say the magic words, mattrobertsmagic.com.
Shameless plug.
One card rises from the deck. And sure enough, that's your card, the Queen of Clubs.
It's amazing.
It's said often that Marlborough rises to the occasion to help out. Tonight was no different.
This is what Marlborough is all about, community giving back to the community. Although it's been named the inaugural ball, it really is the mayor's charity ball. And for people to come out and support the charity and give back to the community, that's what makes Marlborough what it is. It's people giving back to other people. It's fantastic. I couldn't have been happier with the evening.
There was plenty of glitz and glamour on hand tonight at the mayor's charity ball. Everyone we spoke to said they had a great time, but they were all quick to point out it's for a very good cause.
It's for families in need, not necessarily families. It's for open to anybody in the city.
This winter we've seen a huge request for fuel assistance. Cold winter, the cost of fuel has gone up and you just can't make ends meet. And sometimes what gives? Food, fuel, things like that.
At any time it could be any one of us that fall upon difficult times, and it's nice to know that there's somebody in the community that can help you out.
On a night when people come out to give back to their community, it makes sense to honor a Humanitarian of the Year. The 2006 award went to Linda Ossing.
Nancy made one of the greatest choices I've ever seen for a mayor to make. Linda Ossing does not have an agenda. She just does things. She just works hard for everybody in the city. And I have been co-chaired with her on 2 events. She's just an amazing person and just has no ego at all. She's just a wonderful, wonderful person.
I am totally overwhelmed. Totally overwhelmed. Speechless, which doesn't happen often.
For Marlborough This Week, I'm Keegan Feeney.
Well, Angelique, it really was a great time at the ball. It was so nice to see so many Marlborough residents coming out to support the city.
Yeah, it looks like I missed out on a good time.
Yes, and good food. It was amazing.
I bet. Okay. Results are in from the 24 focus groups that were held to help the superintendent's search. Results show that parents and Marlborough employees want an experienced and mature adult who will not use Marlborough as a stepping stone to a better job in the future. Glenn Kuchar ran the forums and tallied up the results, which he presented to the school committee. Some committee members weren't necessarily surprised by the results. If you would like to see the full report, contact the superintendent's office at 508-460-3509.
Marlborough school administrators are taking a different approach to next year's school budget. For years, the budget has been level funded, where a certain amount of money is set aside at the beginning of the year, and schools must stay within these amounts. But this level funding is now a thing of the past. For the first time in nearly 5 years, they are starting the budget at $0 and adding their way up. Marlborough's Assistant Superintendent, Jim Jolliker, says this will better meet the needs of each school. But it doesn't necessarily mean schools will get everything they ask for. Jolliker says it all depends on what the city can afford and Chapter 70 funding. Schools held budget meetings throughout the week to discuss funding. The final budget will be presented to the school committee in April.
92 acres of land of Route 20 might soon be home to office and retail buildings and a 99 restaurant. The Gutierrez Company filed an environmental notification form last week for their development proposal, but not everyone is happy about this. Some neighbors of the property are opposing the development. They say problems will arise if the land, which used to be an apple orchard, is disturbed since it is now contaminated by the chemicals. In letters to the city, some residents say pesticides, including lead and arsenic, will spill into the city's drinking water. Bob Landry, the city's sanitarian, says a licensed site professional will work with the developer throughout construction. This professional will make sure the developer has a soil management plan to keep the environment and water safe.
Only weeks after the city of Marlborough faced a meningitis scare, officials are now saying they are prepared for an avian flu and smallpox outbreak. But they still need your help. The city is asking for volunteers to dispense vaccines in case of an outbreak. Marlborough will have 4 dispensing sites, 1 at the middle school and also at the 3 elementary schools. An estimated 500 to 600 people are needed. People are also needed for the city's Medical Reserve Corps that will help out at these dispensing sites, but would also be able to help out in other disasters, such as a hurricane like Katrina. If you're interested in volunteering, you can call the Board of Health office at 508-460-3751. Well, Angelique, I'm really glad to hear that we're prepared.
Yes, I'm glad they're taking action now while they can, you know?
Yeah, sounds like a very solid plan in place.
Definitely.
Well, stay tuned. We'll have more news after this break.
Are you looking to expand your workforce? Hi, I'm Governor Mitt Romney. Thousands of employers throughout Massachusetts have used our one-stop career centers to recruit and find new employees. Visit one of our centers to learn about tax credits and grants that help defray the cost of training new employees. Talk to an employer specialist. One-stop career centers are working for Massachusetts.
For information, call 1-877-US2-JOBS. That's 1-877-US2-JOBS.
Welcome back to Marlborough This Week. Turning now to a story that WMCT has been following for you. A jury of 10 women and 6 men will determine a former Marlborough man's fate. The jurors were selected on Wednesday in Middlesex Superior Court. 33-year-old Dwayne Taylor is being charged with murder and illegal possession of a firearm. He's accused of shooting and killing David Fleet of Natick at a house party after a fight. The fight had broken out over allegations someone had stolen CDs and about $50 in cash from one of the bedrooms. Fleet confronted Taylor, who he did not know. The two men allegedly got into a fist fight. Taylor and his friends then left the party but returned at around 1:30 in the morning. Witnesses watched as Taylor allegedly shot a 9mm hitting Fleet in the chest. Fleet later died at the Metro West Medical Center. Taylor's lawyer expects the trial to last 7 to 10 days.
A Marlborough woman is recovering after a suicide attempt gone wrong. The 37-year-old woman jumped from a third-story window last Friday. A person taking a walk found the woman on Lincoln Street. Police say she was conscious and alert when paramedics arrived. She was taken to Marlborough Hospital and later taken by helicopter to Mass Memorial Hospital in Worcester.
Well, you ever wonder why you see more men police officers than women? It might be because more than half of the women who are taking the physical test to become an officer are failing. During the test, individuals must complete an obstacle course, fire a gun several times, carry a dummy, and identify people in an out-of-control crowd. While these tasks might sound simple, there's a catch. They must all be done with short time limits. And the Massachusetts Association of Women in Law Enforcement, along with a few police departments, say parts of the test might not be fair for men and women.
To say whether or not someone would potentially be able to perform the duties of police officer based on whether or not they can scale that wall, I think there may be other ways to gauge someone's ability or agility as part of that obstacle course, whether it be lowering the wall somewhat or having some other type of, as I said, obstacle for them to have to negotiate as part of that course.
They say the 5-foot wall that recruits must climb over is keeping many fully qualified female candidates from becoming officers. During the past 14 months, 62% of the women who took the test failed. Only 10% of the men who took the test failed. While numerous complaints have been filed on this issue, there is no word on whether the test will be changed.
Well, if you've been to the movie theater lately, you've probably been warned to turn off your cell phone. And while you might listen, not everyone will. That's why the motion picture industry is considering using technology to block or restrict calls in movie theaters. And it's stirring up quite a discussion among Marlborough residents.
I think that's a good idea. I find them very annoying.
I think they shouldn't have cell phones in the movie theaters, and if you need to be contacted by emergency, just put it on vibration, so that way you don't disturb other people in the movie theater. So I think it's a great idea.
It's bad enough with the loud rings, but then they talk abnormally loud when they answer it. So it's really annoying.
It's okay to turn your cell phone off, but it's a bad idea to ban it. How about if I get an emergency call? No, it should not ban it. I should be able to keep in touch with any minute anyone I need to speak to.
I just think that it's a good idea not to have them in the movie theater, but if it's an emergency type situation where somebody needs to get a hold of parents, then it's a good thing to have them on vibrate.
Let the phone ring. What is a movie when there is emergency? So, bad idea. I don't agree.
Current laws prevent citizens or groups from obstructing communication signals, so if the theaters do decide to implement this, they will need to change the law.
Well, I think in most theaters you don't have any service anyway, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think it probably won't affect too many people. A lot of people listen and turn them off. But
that's right.
We'll see. We'll see. Well, we turn now to Judd Bornheimer with sports.
Thanks, ladies. We're still waiting for the MHS spring sports season to begin, but we do have some exciting news involving a former Marlborough team. But first, we sat down with Marlborough's athletic director, Rich Riley, to see what we can expect from all of the Panther teams. In particular, what the expectations are for lacrosse teams competing only in their second year, and what team may be the most successful.
Well, I'm sure they're hoping to become more competitive this year. Last year we had sophomores, freshmen, and eighth graders. This year we're going to have juniors, sophomores, freshmen, and eighth graders. There'll be more numbers. I believe both teams are probably going to have to make selections, and I feel they'll be well prepared for when they enter the varsity stage in spring of 2007. They've got 1 year under their belt. The coaches are very talented. We have a youth lacrosse league in town, and I think they're going to be very competitive with the teams they play with this year. I think the baseball team is going to be a young team. There's a great junior class. We have some sophomores who could possibly come up, help out. Speed is going to be one of the attributes of this year's team. We're going to have a speedy outfield, talking John Tenera and Anthony Manasian, Garrett Butt, among others. We've got Matt Birdie, probably Tyler McElman in the infield. Rob Shannon, who is a senior, will be behind the plate. I think girls outdoor track will be strong in the running events, from the 2 mile down to the 200 meters. They're going to have 1 or 2 strong people in each event. As far as the boys are concerned, they have almost 50 student athletes out there right now, and that's an improvement of 20 already from last year. So I think boys are in the same situation. If the throwing events can come around and the hurdle events, then I think they might be in contention. I think the girls' tennis team is going to be maybe the most improved team in the spring. Coach Todd Turcott and Paula Ryder, they have 35 young ladies trying out for the team. This is the most that we've ever had. Unfortunately, they can only pick probably 15 of them, and but that's a good sign that people actually looking forward, the students are looking forward to playing tennis.
And, the volleyball teams, what can we, volleyball is a very competitive sport as far as the state of Massachusetts goes. What can we look for from the volleyball teams this season?
Well, Coach Peter Lepre only graduated 2 or 3 of his best players from a year ago. They qualified for the postseason and lost to Lincoln Sudbury, who was very, very good. And I feel we're probably in contention to do the same thing. I believe softball is going to be vastly improved. Last year, they won 4 or 5 games. They came on, they won 2 out of their last 3, one against Milford, one against Algonquin, both Division I teams. They've worked hard over the winter. They played in summer leagues last summer. They played in different leagues this winter. They had some captains practices down here where we had 15, 20 girls showing up. Coach Kyle Westcott, Coach Jeff Rodzinski, the varsity level. I think they're going to have the kids well prepared, and I think this might possibly be the best softball team we've had in quite a few years.
So it sounds like the Panthers and their fans are in for an exciting spring season and hopefully a Central Mass title or 2. Now, after a February 22nd meeting, the Marlborough Shamrocks will be returning to the field. Former head coach Tom Grasso will become the team's defensive coordinator. Bob DeVoe will be the team's new head coach. The Shams are not officially part of a league yet. However, all signs point to them returning to the Eastern Football League. Well, that's it for Sports Spotlight this week. I'm Judd Bornheimer. Angelique, back to you at the desk.
Thanks, Judd. Well, Marlborough's high school athletes weren't the only ones to make it into the news this week. Some of the school's vocalists also are making a name for themselves. That's right, we said vocalists. The high school held its 4th annual MHS Idol this week. 22 contestants performed, but a panel of 3 judges had to narrow it down to 3. And just like the hit TV show, the audience picked their favorite of the finalists. This year's winner was Joy Fernandez. We're going to take a quick break right now, but we'll show you her performance when we returned. Stay tuned.
Welcome back. If you've been parking illegally on Main Street and getting lucky with no tickets, don't press your luck. Marlborough may soon have 2 traffic enforcement officers working the street and handing out tickets. On Monday night, the Finance Committee approved the 2 part-timer salaries of $10 an hour. Each officer will work 19 hours a week. Ted Carr retired in January as Marlborough's sole parking enforcement officer, who worked 35 hours a week. Since then, Marlborough has not had a permanent traffic enforcement officer.
Many Marlborough drivers were left stumped at the pump this week. That's because gas prices soared 16 cents higher after previous weeks. The average price of regular gasoline in Massachusetts is now $2.41 a gallon. AAA New England says the hike can be credited to tight reserve supplies, an earlier than usual switch to summer fuel blends, and a global political strife. This is the state's second highest one-week gas increase ever recorded. Last summer, prices surged 17 cents after Hurricane Katrina slammed into the southern United States. Well, it's the first week of spring. I hope it feels that way.
Maybe not quite yet, but hopefully next week.
Hopefully.
I have your weather report for you. Let's take a look at what kind of weather we can expect for this first weekend of spring. We may not be feeling those spring temperatures just yet, but believe it or not, it is warming up. Friday night we'll see a low of 30 degrees. Saturday will be cloudy with a high of 45 in the mid-afternoon, and that will drop in the evening to 31 degrees. Sunday is looking cloudy with a chance of sun. We'll see a high of 47 and a low of 30. Skies will clear Sunday evening, and Monday we'll finally see some sun. We'll see temperatures peak at 49 degrees in the afternoon. It will cool off to 30 degrees. Tuesday is looking about the same as Monday with highs nearing 50. Enjoy that sunshine Monday and Tuesday because it's not going to stick around for long. We'll see showers on Wednesday with a high of 48 and a low of 34 degrees.
Well, every week we'd like to share with you a little piece of Marlborough's history in a segment called 100 Years Ago This Week. During the week of March 24th, 1906, Marlborough residents were celebrating a new law that was passed by the House of Representatives in Boston. The law prohibited boys and girls under the age of 17 years old from attending a dance or similar entertainment event without a parent or guardian present. The majority of Marlborough's dancing events were held at Preston Hall during this time. Old newspaper clippings report the occasional sights of children at these events and quote-unquote say the dancing public is opposed to it.
Well, things have really changed a lot in the last 100 years.
Yes, it has.
Well, that's all we have this week for Marlborough This Week. I'm Keegan Feeney.
And I'm Angelique Piccolo. We'll leave you with Marlborough High School's Idol winner, Joy Fernandez.
I've fallen long enough to know there ain't no way. And today, I'm officially missing you. Ooh, can't nobody do it like you. Said every little thing you do. Hey, baby, it stays on my mind. And I'm officially, well, I thought I could just get over you, baby.
Coming up on Marlborough this week, some closure on Marlborough Farm, the decision that left many Marlborough residents very happy.
The city of Marlborough needs your help how you can prepare the city for the deadly bird flu.
And with some new faces on board, the Panthers say they're ready for this spring season's baseball opening.
Welcome to Marlborough This Week. I'm Deirdre Andiorio.
And I'm Mike Koilukakis, and Deirdre can't get enough of this fantastic spring weather that we've just stumbled into. Get out and enjoy it.
It's fantastic. I know, just in time for the weekend too.
Exactly, got to get outside.
Exactly. All right, well, it's the first weekend of April and it's time to change those clocks. Don't forget to change your clock ahead 1 hour on Sunday. We'll also have your complete 5-day forecast coming up later in the show, but first let's take a look at this week's news. Marlborough hosted its first annual job fair this Thursday, and quite a turnout it was. Hundreds of people were looking for work and met with dozens of local employers. WMCT was there. Take a look.
On Thursday, the Massachusetts One Step Career Center held its annual career fair in its offices at the RK Executive Center. The fair was co-sponsored by the Marlborough Regional Chamber of Commerce.
The Marlborough Regional Chamber of Commerce and the Marlborough One Stop Career Center has been a phenomenal collaboration. And we're not only serving our business members, we're also serving the residents at large. And I think it's good for both.
I'm very impressed with the turnout, both with the employers and with the job seekers coming in. Certainly, my understanding is that within 4 hours, you had 30 companies that just jumped on the chance to be here, which shows that the economy is changing, that there's more need for, the employers are looking for more people now.
The purpose of the career fair was to bring potential employer and employee together, and to show both what is available out there.
Biggest value to us is finding job seekers that are aggressively looking for positions that we can then send to our clients to help those clients fill open jobs that they have.
And this will help people to hire the proper people, but also gives it the exposure.
Even if you are currently employed but looking to take your career down a different path, the Massachusetts One Step Career Center is there for you.
You are free to come in and use our resource room to its fullest extent, and also to take our workshops here at the Career Center.
We have people coming that are in transition. Perhaps they got laid off from a job and they took a position just to pay the bills. Now they're looking for a better position, so they're coming and they're taking advantage of the services that are offered here. We have college graduates, we have high school graduates that come in looking for employment. We have mothers that have never worked before that are just embarking on a new life. So we have a myriad of people that come into the center.
I'm Dan Ginden for Marlborough This Week.
Imagine throwing $80,000 right down the drain. Well, that could become a possibility if Marlborough officials don't spend the money quickly enough. That's because a new state guideline requires mitigation funds to be put into a general fund by June 30th. The Community Development Authority has more than $80,000 that was given to it when the Solomon Pond Mall was approved. Marlborough Mayor Nancy Stevens says the city is in a use it or lose it situation. She suggests spending the money on repairs for the parking garage right behind City Hall. Another possibility might be to spend the cash to fix the parking lot at Immaculate Conception Church. Officials are going to meet on April 25th to vote on where to spend that money.
Well, many families may soon be calling Marlborough their home. That's because the City Council passed a request to rezone about half of the land from commercial to residential. The Urban Affairs had denied a request to a couple of weeks ago, but City Councilors got the final say on that Monday night, and they gave it a unanimous yes. Councilors say they have gotten many phone calls and emails supporting the request. The lawyer for the Capital Group Properties says the developer will preserve 1 acre of land to be used as a park or playground. He says homes in the area will go from mid-$400,000 to $500,000 in price range.
And also at Monday night's City Council meeting, the appointments of 7 new officers to the Marlborough Police Department. In a letter to the council, Mayor Nancy Stevens says the officers should be able to start active duty after their graduation on August 18th. This comes only a few weeks after a study was released showing that the city of Marlborough's police force might be short-staffed. For the past few months, they've been looking for candidates and conducting background checks. But now that they've made their picks, council members are giving a special welcome.
Always wish the new police officers success and get out there and start writing some people up.
Marlborough is also welcoming 4 new permanent firefighters.
I want to thank you. I know it's been a long time coming for you.
Brian LaCorey, Brian Leonard, Stephen Cavallo, and Christy Clement are going to start training next week, and they'll graduate in June.
Well, Mike, it might be hello to several police and firefighters, but it may be goodbye to one of Marlborough's community leaders. 64-year-old Walter Bonin has been one of the members of the Community Development Organization for about 26 years, but now he's stepping down. Mayor Nancy Stevens made the announcement earlier this week. She's appointed former Marlborough Mayor Michael Hogan to be his replacement.
Turning now to a story that we at WMCT have been following for you, the trial of a former Marlborough man is underway, but the prosecution took a turn when the recollections of key witnesses went fuzzy. 33-year-old Dwayne Taylor is being charged with murder and illegal possession of a firearm. He's accused of shooting and killing David Fleet of Natick after a fight at a house party. Prosecutors had hoped several witnesses would be able to pin Taylor as the gunman, but only 2 of the witnesses were able to do that. 3 others say they don't even remember what the gunman looked like. Police say that the fight broke out over allegations that someone had stolen CDs and about $50 in cash from one of the bedrooms. Fleet is said to have confronted Taylor, whom he didn't know. The 2 men allegedly got into a fist fight. Taylor and his friends then left the party but returned to it at around 1:30 in the morning. Police say Taylor shot Fleet in the chest with a 9mm handgun. Fleet later died at Metro West Medical Center.
53-year-old Louis Ferreira and his son, 19-year-old Louis Ferreira, have more in common in their names and just their DNA. This weekend, they were both in trouble with the law for drug trafficking charges. Police put a halt to this family-run business last weekend for distributing large quantities of crack cocaine and marijuana to a house on Montanari Drive, which is right near a preschool. Both men are being held on $5,000 cash bail. Their cases will be continued April 7th in Marlborough District Court.
And a convicted sex offender is also behind bars this weekend. 19-year-old Anthony Pereira will spend the next 3 to 5 years in prison. The former Marlborough High School student was convicted last week of raping a 16-year-old girl. Court documents say that Pereira brought the victim and others into some woods where they drank alcohol. And after drinking, Pereira drove the victim and 2 other teens to an apartment complex on Bolton Street so that one of the teens could use the bathroom. Pereira then is said to have sexually assaulted the victim in a vacant apartment. His trial lasted 7 days. A Middlesex judge found him guilty of 4 counts of raping a child. He's now going to serve 3 to 5 years in prison as well as 5 years probation. He also has to undergo sex offender treatment.
Well, it might be behind bars for Pereira, but another convicted man got his get-out-of-jail-free card this week. 43-year-old Robert Gorsica of Southborough was sentenced to 5 years in prison this month. He was convicted of 2 counts of open and gross lewdness after sexually exposing himself to 2 Marlborough middle school girls at a bus stop last year. But the judge who gave him his sentence only a few weeks ago is now taking it back. Judge Geraldine Hines says he's suspending punishment despite pleas from community members. Gorsica must remain on prescribed medication, continue with his therapy, and register as a sex offender.
We're going to take a brief break here on Marlborough this week, but when we come back, we'll have more for you on a new law affecting almost all Marlborough residents and just about everyone in the state, in fact.
Absolutely. Plus all your sports highlights with Judd Bornheimer right when we come back.
Are you looking to expand your workforce? Hi, I'm Governor Mitt Romney. Thousands of employers throughout Massachusetts have used our one-stop career centers to recruit and find new employees. Visit one of our centers to learn about tax credits and grants that help defray the cost of training new employees. Talk to an employer specialist. One-stop career centers are working for Massachusetts.
For information, call 1-877-US2-JOBS. That's 1-877-US2-JOBS.
If you don't already have a carbon monoxide detector in your home, you need to get one. A new law requiring carbon monoxide detectors is now in effect. Nicole's law is named after a 7-year-old Nicole Garofalo. She died from carbon monoxide poisoning last January after a vent in her home was blocked by snow, trapping the dangerous fumes inside. All homes and enclosed parking areas that have equipment like boilers, furnaces, Hot water heaters must now have detectors installed on every floor. The Marlborough Fire Department will be inspecting homes. These life-saving devices can be purchased at hardware stores for just $25. And that's not too much of a price to pay if it can save a life.
It absolutely isn't. It's something that we all need to keep track of and go out into a hardware store and buy pretty soon if you don't already have one.
Absolutely.
And if you're trying to save a little bit of money, the city of Marlborough has some ideas that might help you. WMCT's Leslie Canada has more.
Spring is here, and now that the snow is gone, it's time to wash your car and turn on those sprinklers. But don't waste that water. While it might seem plentiful, you'll certainly feel its effects in your water bill.
The cost of water is escalating dramatically, and much of the cost increases as a result of the improvements in the water system performed by the Massachusetts Water Resources Authority.
You might not think simple things like turning the sink off when you're not using it will save you money on your water bill, but believe it or not, it will. That's why the city is handing out free water-saving kits to Marlborough residents.
As part of the program, they provide a kit to the city that contains a low-flow shower head, and basically you unscrew this your old shower head off and replace it with this brand new shower head. We also have, as part of the kit, and it comes in this bag, a bag that calibrates your existing your existing shower head. And you essentially hold this over the shower, run it at shower speed for 5 seconds, and it will tell you how many gallons per minute that you're using. And if you're above 2 to 2.5 gallons per minute, essentially you're wasting water, and you can accomplish the same thing by replacing the low-flow shower head. The kit also includes faucet aerators for your kitchen and bathroom faucets. And once again, you just unscrew the old faucet aerator and replace it with this, and it'll accomplish the same amount of objective with your water, but by using less water as well. The kit also comes with a dye packet. And what this does, it will allow you to identify if your toilet is leaking water past the seat. In the evening before the residents go to bed, you just empty this dye packet into the reservoir, the portion of the toilet that holds the water back. And in the morning, if your toilet bowl is blue, it means that water has leaked past and the seal needs to be addressed. And the final portion of the kit is a water dam. And what this does, you put this into your toilet reservoir, and when you flush, it holds back 1 to 2 gallons of water. And once again, it accomplishes a normal flush, but it saves 2 gallons of water for every time you flush the toilet.
Kits can be picked up at the Administrative Public Works office on Neal Street or by calling 617-242-SAVE. For WMCT, I'm Leslie Canada.
Well, thanks, Leslie. Only weeks after a city of Marlborough faced a meningitis scare, officials say they're prepared for an avian flu and smallpox outbreak, but they still need your help. The city is asking volunteers to dispense vaccines in case of an outbreak. Marlborough will have 4 dispensing sites, 1 at the middle school and 3 at the elementary schools. An estimated 500 to 600 people are needed. People are also needed for the city's Medical Reserve Corps that will help dispensing at these sites. But we're also looking to help disasters such as Katrina. So if you're interested in volunteering, you can call the Board of Health office at 508-460-3751.
Radio Shack is in financial trouble. Weak earnings and managerial issues have caused the company to close down nearly 500 stores nationwide. 9 Radio Shack stores will be closing in Greater Boston, including the one in Marlborough. It also stores in Saugus, Wellesley, Kingston, Weymouth, Waltham, Randolph, Natick, and Stowe are going to be shut down. The company plans to close down the stores in May. Okay, and not quite into the month of May just yet, Deirdre, but we are now into the beginning of April, which means with warm weather, it's time for the high school baseball season.
Absolutely, and to check all that out, Judd Bornheimer will have all those highlights coming up right after the break.
Are you looking to expand your workforce? Hi, I'm Governor Mitt Romney. Thousands of employers throughout Massachusetts have used our one-stop career centers to recruit and find new employees. Visit one of our centers to learn about tax credits and grants that help defray the cost of training new employees. Talk to an employer specialist. One-stop career centers are working for Massachusetts.
For information, call 1-877-US2-JOBS. That's 1-877-US2-JOBS.
Welcome back for another edition of Sports Spotlight, Marlborough. I'm Judd Bornheimer, and here's what's going on in the world of Panther sports. Well, the spring teams have now begun practicing and preparing for what they hope will be a successful season. However, no teams have played any games yet, so over the next few weeks, we here at the Spotlight will be going right to the source and previewing a few of the teams to look out for. Now, the residents of Marlborough may have a quality baseball team to cheer for this year, as we found out when we sat down with the head coach of the Panther baseball team, Paul Duplessis, and a few of his players.
Well, this year is an interesting year. We're going to have both returning veteran players, but we're also going to have a lot of new players. We graduated a lot of seniors from last year's team, and this year we're going to be looking at some returning varsity players, but also some JVs that I think are really going to come up and help us. Some of those returning veteran players would be Matt Birdie at shortstop, Anthony Managian at first base, and left fielder Josh Torres, as well as our #1 pitcher, Garrett Butt, who will also be playing in the outfield. Some of the JV kids that have come up this year in the last 3 scrimmages have looked very strong would be Tyler McElman, Steve Blair, and also we also have a second baseman now, Wes Russell. And, I forgot our returning catcher who had a great year for us, and that was Rob Shannon. So we're going to be looking for those guys to kind of lead the team, but we also have some other kids on the team that I think are going to have an outstanding year for us. Well, I think the strength is the work ethic of the kids. So far, the last couple of weeks since we've started, they've done nothing but work hard. They have a love of the game and a desire to get better. So with those 3 things, I think we're going to become a better team every week. I think also we're going to have some kids who can hit the ball, and I'm really hoping that the surprise this year is going to be our pitching. Everybody thinks because Jimmy Fuller, although one of the best pitchers in Central Mass, is gone, I think that Garrett Butt will fill that #1 spot nicely, and we have some players coming up that were either JVs or on the team last year, I think that are going to maybe surprise some teams.
Individually, I mean, you were the #2 starter, in the pitching staff last year. #1 starter was really good. Any pressure on you individually to kind of pick up the slack from him graduating?
I mean, there is pressure on me, but, there's a lot of pressure on the #2 pitcher this year. I mean, I'm going to go out and win a good share of games, being confident. I mean, but I think, Brian Guzzi and Shane Campbell and Tim Sabian, they really got to step up this year.
How would you describe the team? I mean, it is a young team, but what kind of feel does the team have so far through practices?
We're young, so we're excited. We're ready to get going. A lot of new faces around here, so we're just ready to get the season started, so to get on a roll.
Well, of course, the first 6 games we play this year are all outside our league, and they're Division I games. All Division I teams are tough. However, we're going to be facing teams like Algonquin to open up, but then we're going to face Milford and then Wachusett. So those 3 games right there are going to be awfully tough. They're experienced. They're always a good program to play against, and they're going to be 3 tough games.
Well, I think it's the first 6 games, so it's going to be early, but, right away we get to see how we match up against the best competition in the division, so it should be exciting to see how we match up against these teams.
Algonquin, we got Holy Name, we got Milford. These are all good teams in the past, and they've always been good, but, I think, if we just go out and do what we do, then we'll come out victorious.
And another thing I'd like to thank Marlborough Youth Baseball for their program and for sending some outstanding players up, and the coaches down there and the organization that sends these players up to me. I couldn't be more grateful for, and they're doing a great job, and it just makes our program that much better. So City of Marlborough is doing a great job as far as baseball is concerned. It would be great to see a lot of fans up here giving the kids the support that they deserve and the recognition they deserve, and I know they really appreciate it.
From the sounds of it, the boys of the MHS baseball team are set up to surprise some people this season. We wish them luck in their pursuit of a state championship and want to thank Coach Duplessis for the access. Now here's a look at the schedule for the opening week of the spring season. There are a lot of games this week to open the spring season. We here at the Spotlight encourage our viewers to go out and cheer on your Panthers. The weather is finally nice, and the kids deserve all the fanfare they can get. Well, that'll put a wrap on Sports Spotlight this week. Hope to see you back here each and every week for the latest in Panther sports. I'm Judd Bornheimer. Deidre, back to you at the desk.
Thanks, Judd. Well, if you want to keep your home pesticide-free, you must contact the city clerk's office this weekend. In an effort to control the mosquito population, pesticides will be sprayed around Marlborough homes later this spring. Again, Saturday, April 1st is the last day to turn in your name, address, and telephone number at the city clerk's office for this request.
Every week, we'd like to share a little piece of Marlborough's history with you in a segment that we call 100 Years Ago This Week. As you might know, the city's finance committee meets every couple of weeks or so to discuss budgets, and it wasn't any different 100 years ago. But what's interesting is the dollar amounts that they were assigning back then to different city departments that are still around today. During the last week of March 1906, the Finance Committee approved an appropriation for Marlborough Hospital for $1,000. That might seem like a very small amount now, but it made front page news back then. Also on their agenda, the fire department. The committee wanted to give the department $12,400, but debate broke out when other people said that money wasn't enough. $12,800 was later agreed upon. Something that you might not know, the old Central Fire Station on Main Street was built that same year.
Well, if you're looking for something to do this weekend, look no further. The 7th annual Spring Fling is Saturday night. The event is to be held at the Heritage Hall in the Masonic Building on Main Street. Tickets are $10 and proceeds will benefit the Marlborough High School all-nighter. You can call Carol Farisi at 508-481-1340 for tickets. Well, sounds like it might be something nice to do.
It absolutely does. It's a lovely weekend to get out, and to help you with your weekend plans, let's take a little bit of a look at your weekend weather. And back on Friday afternoon, we saw highs of about 72 degrees, and those are the warmest temperatures we've seen in about 5 months. It's going to cool off to just below 50 degrees Friday night, but on Saturday it looks like we're going to warm up again. And here's your 5-day forecast. Saturday looks like some showers in the morning, but clouds are going to give way to sunny skies in the afternoon. We'll see highs of about 63 with a low of around 42 degrees. Sunday is looking even better with very clear and sunny skies. It's going to reach 61 degrees Sunday afternoon, but cool down to about 39 Sunday night. Monday, a little colder than what it looks like we'll have this weekend. Cloudy skies most of the day with a high of 53 and a low of about 43. Tuesday, we should expect some showers. Temperatures are going to reach 58 degrees and then dip into the high 30s overnight. Wednesday, we're going to see a break from the rain. The day should be partly cloudy with a high of 54 degrees and a low just over freezing at 35. And Deirdre, just once again want to give everybody one more brief reminder. This weekend is daylight savings time, so remember, before you go to bed Saturday night, move your clock ahead an hour to get some more sunlight.
Definitely, if you have anywhere to go Sunday or coming up for work on Monday, you don't want to forget to do that.
And that's all the time that it looks like we have for Marlborough this week. I'm Michael Lukakis.
And I'm Deirdre Andiorio. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next week.
Good night.
Thanks.